Hey, was Jesse done playing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like resize.
You knew all, we're not City Hall, right?
We're going to with this in the letter and get a copy. We should be toward the end of that. Before this year. Yeah, the legal didn't really know. They had to go back and find the rules.
And where's he? What's the other meeting?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think he said he's not.
Who's that?
Lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh, ours is such a point.
Oh, she's on camera?
Let's see.
I can.
I got you here.
Oh, where's hers?
I didn't think she was here.
There is can stay.
Yeah.
That's what she said. We thought she was in California.
Like I said, I'm pulling it now.
I've been talking to her on the phone. I'll just wait till she gets on the building.
And yeah, we're almost. You have his number?
Oh, you want to go?
I did still.
Yeah. Oh, we thought you were in California.
I wish.
You teleported quick.
Just be, I'll be happy to go.
Huh?
That's for sure.
That session, can I leave it?
Just look up here.
Yeah, that's all. Hey,
That's all
that's
just.
on me.
I just, me or him?
Somebody.
All right, we think Jesse Randolph's family did a fair team on the.
Jesse.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta get Jesse Randolph.
I know we just have to plug it back here.
No.
That is not just turkeys. I don't have a very strong batteries.
Worry free. Well, I'll keep texting you if you want to go ahead. Let me make sure we're. Okay. Okay.
We're expecting one more 41st of the act. Actually, very good.
Good stuff. Hey, guys in the back, we're gonna get started. It's got to be quiet because it's hard to hear. We gotta make sure the computer. Sorry.
Call a meeting to order of December the 6th. Budget considerations for the ongoing year. That and looking forward to the rest of it.
Okay, first I want to thank everybody for coming here today, special meeting, staff. It's awesome. We got this many of you guys here, so I appreciate that. We do have some members of staff from the city here going down the hall. Brandon, he's with Park and Rec. He's the head finance guy for Park and Rec. And then Kyle and Luke work for the city level. They kind of oversee the golf fund. So thank you guys for being here. Just to answer questions if we have them and be able to help with them. He said I will be there. All right, so yeah, we've got budget. What I've kind of put together is kind of give an update, first update on the month, and then an update kind of on the year, what we've done, what we kind of expect next year. We've got these guys are going to help go through the budget process, so when everyone has a better understanding on how that works. And then I've got a spreadsheet where we can kind of play with the budget and make changes as we see, and it'll automatically adjust, and we can tweak it. I think it'll be pretty easy and smooth that way. So yeah, we can start with the rounds report if you want to bring that up, Darius. Mouse, you got a mouse right there. I keep it. Should be open. Yeah. R double up the bottom one. And slide to it. Okay. Just a quick update on November. So year to date for rounds, we're at 181,000 rounds. At this point last year, we were at 169. So that's crazy as it was. We're 7% up. Very, very happy with that. We got a lot of people pointing it off. November alone, as you all know, we had basically half a month in November. Around the middle of the month, the cold came in, the rain came in, and the snow and all that. So I don't remember last November, but apparently it was even worse. We still beat last November by 25%. We had almost 10,000 rounds. All things considered, pretty happy. We had, from a revenue standpoint, we had met the month like the 10th day, I think, for the month. So luckily we had a good start because we didn't get to finish. Year to date, car rentals were up 5%. We're at 1.3 versus 1.2.5 last year. So pretty steady. That's a lot of car rentals. Food and beverage, big update on that in just a second. We've got, we're at 672,000 versus 629 last year, $50,000 increase, 7%. Yeah, we'll talk about that more in just a minute. Driving ranges are up 15%, over $200,000 for the year. About a $30,000 increase over last year, so pretty happy with that. And then the merchandise comparison, again, the golf pros get most of that, so it's not a big impact on our budget. For me, it's an indicator on the traffic and what the services we're offering, and more of a service factor to the customer. So we're up 8%. And again, we had his clubhouse blown up all year. By the time we got it back together, it really didn't make sense for him to put a bunch of big orders in. So his is down, but that's our fault. And then Mac has been kind of a mess. So the Apex went through a big renovation. So all things considered, very happy with that as well. Membership counts, no big changes. Of course, this time of the year, you're not going to add new members. They're not going to start when they know they're not going to get to play for 3 or 4 months. So a little bit of a decrease, but nothing major. So anything steady right now is good. Total revenue for November, 423,000. This is the money that has came through CPS. That's all we're looking at here. So it's a little bit different on the financial side. We'll look at it in a minute, but dollars that's came through CPS, 6.2 million for the year so far, versus this point last year, 5.6. So 11%, almost $600,000 increase. Okay.
We don't know how to do that.
You got 1,585, that's about 200 overall down from what we saw last year.
Yeah, no, well, yes, on the numbers, but what I talked about in the last meeting, when we did that membership increase, we had to go manually through every account. And there was some stuff that was in the system wrong that has been for the last 6 years. So we got that really clean now. And this is the correct number because we literally touched every account that we have. And before that, there were duplicates. There were couples members that were both counting. It was a lot of just some stuff that needed to be cleaned up. So yeah, the number is down, but that's when we pulled that report, a lot of those were priced at zero, but they were showing as an account. So it showed our numbers were higher, but we weren't.
Those are actually right.
Yeah, so money wise,
These numbers are the actual charges every month.
At 1,600, so use that as a basis number is the, which would be last year. We don't think we took a hit and we had a $55 hit.
No.
Okay.
no. How many people you think? Did you lose anyone over that? A couple. So yeah, just a handful of people.
That's what we might have lost.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
I'm just curious.
And most of the phone calls or emails that we had, they just didn't know it. When we explained it, they were fine. So, and that
did go
happens.
to 55.
We did. Yeah. And we get those phone calls, whether it's $10 or I just don't know what the extra charge. So it really wasn't that big of a, not really big issue at all. Okay, so. So I just wanted to put that out first. It's kind of a right now update. Now this next, the next presentation is going to pull up on the bottom one. Okay. Okay. So just kind of want to remind, I know everyone knows, but just kind of go over some of the things that we've done this year that are outside the normal day-to-day expenses that we have. So equipment purchases, we spent just north of $400,000 so far on maintenance equipment. That was all the new greens mowers, sprayer, 2 working trucks, so everything we've done. So it's good. We got a long way to go, but that was a good start for this year. Of course, we've done all the clubhouses. We're closing out into that. We'll give you an update there in a second. Irrigation repairs. We started the year with all the mess that we have with the irrigation. That was basically $200,000 of, I don't want to say unexpected expense, but it all hit at one time, and that was a big chunk. So the irrigation, and we all know where we're at. So that's, you can, right now, we can pretty much expect that's going to happen again with the age of our system. So the simulator, we added that. The carts, we got the new carts, and then the cart paths, that work will be done over the next 3 months. They expect it to be completely done by March. That would be at the other 3 courses. So no, it'll go out. It'll go out for this week or whenever the next board is. It'll be every week or every other week. So it'll be this Friday. It should go up. Okay. So the remaining work for this year, we're getting ready. We've talked about the food and beverage, the kitchens. We needed to get the clubhouses done before we do that. It's kind of in phases. The clubhouses are pretty well done. So we got kitchen renovations. We still have, we're going to look at the balances of the funds in a minute, but we still have plenty of money to take care of those as part of the clubhouse renovation. So we're going to start that over the next 6 weeks. That will be primarily at Tex and Mac. Basically rip everything out and start over so we can do the kitchen right. We're still looking at some equipment right now for the end of the year. Nothing major before the end of the year, but some small things. The net at Sim, that's the warm-up hitting bays. Somehow that's very hard to find. You'd think that would be, you could call 20 people, go online and find that. So I'm still trying to figure out who does that kind of work or who we call to get those installed. But we had someone I thought and they just kind of disappeared. So I guess Tex maintenance, the shop, we're putting heat right now. There's 2 main rooms in the shop. The first room has heat. The other room is about negative 20 degrees. It's basically, you can't use it. So we're putting heat. Did they start today? So they're doing that right now. It's about $11,000, and then we're going to insulate that room. And that was part of our projects that we worked on. in the meeting we had here. Offices and bathrooms at MAC, the office space is nearly complete. I think that'll be done next week, if not by the end of this week. And then the bathrooms, again, at MAC, we're gonna it's basically a new floor, drop ceiling, and then replacing all the fixtures. We're not gonna change the layout, move the plumbing. It's just new toilets, new urinals, new partitions, and new sink and vanities. So we're gonna start that over the next couple of weeks. Again, we still have the money in the clubhouse renovations to take care of that. So we did get a quote to basically hire a general contractor to come and do all that. It was $90,000. We're doing it ourselves. We priced it out. It's going to be $35,000 probably. That's the difference with us doing it ourselves. So not doing it ourselves, but subcontracting everything out. And then the carpets, I'll put that on this side too, because we're still have that work to do.
Yes, anything relating on the air conditioning system?
Tex has got, it's basically a fix, but it's a replacement. Quit working. Other than Tex maintenance and Tex clubhouse, Mac, we've already done. No. There are constant $800 issues that we are constantly fixing, but as far as replacements now, we should be done. All right. This is where some changes are going to start happening, and thanks to these guys on the other side of the room for all the help with this. So right now, going into this year, we have just two project funds, and that was the equipment replacement fund. And last year we started the clubhouse renovation fund. Once the money was in there, it was there. It had to be spent for that purpose. That was it. So what we're working on is now finalized, but the ideal is to have one project fund. That would be the square. All project money would go into that. Now we've got 4 funds now. The CART fund, which is self-sustaining, we don't touch that. That I'll give you an update on that in a second. But that's the money that we sold to the old carts for, and the $2 from every cart rental goes into that fund. That's to pay the lease. It's in great shape, so that one we won't really do anything with it. The equipment replacement fund, it was $1 from every green fee and went to that, but now it's $3 of every green fee goes into that, plus the $55 the annual fee. Clubhouse fund, that's what we're doing the clubhouses with, and then we just created a grounds fund. And basically what that is, any projects on the course. The next year, we did the clubhouses, we've done all this other stuff. Now the focus is going to be on the course, making those, doing everything we can at the course. The purpose of this is to give us flexibility. Every time we do something right now, we have to get in front of council, which takes weeks or months to get scheduled and go through all this process. What we're trying to do is give golf flexibility to spend money as needed, where if there's something that we want to do, hopefully we have money in this project fund and we can pull the money from the main project fund into the category that we need, into the bucket that we need, take care of the project. Whatever we don't spend now will go back into the big project fund instead of, like right now, the clubhouse fund, if we come in under budget, that money is stuck in clubhouse fund. So even though we need a mower and we have the money here, it can't be used for that because city council already earmarked it for clubhouses. So the purpose is giving us that flexibility to use the money way more efficiently. So we'll talk more again in a second. This will all come together. Just a reminder, a couple of changes that we made this year was that the $2 from each cart rental goes to the cart fund. That was something I think was $2.50. It's $2. It was $2. Yeah. So $2 from that goes into the cart fund. So every cart rental that keeps our cart lease, we don't have to worry about it. And then the increase from $1 to $3 of each green fee goes into the equipment replacement fund. We did that late in here. I think it was August. I threw this up today. I think it was August, but that made a huge impact just in the little time. Sorry. Just in the little time that we did, that account started growing much, much faster. Of course, 3 times faster, obviously. So I think next year that's going to really help. Well, always to get more equipment. So these 4 buckets, the current balance in these, the equipment fund right now is $30,220 in it. When we did the Flint Hills purchase of that used equipment, there was no money in the equipment fund. We didn't have time to go to council, so we figured out a way. Basically, money was transferred into that account, So we actually had a negative balance until we paid that back. It was kind of a way to help us take advantage of that situation. So we've paid all that back and we have 30,000. And there may be some that hasn't been transferred in. I don't know if it's all current or not.
And there may be one more thing for a sequel.
Okay. The cart fund right now is 247,000, but we have received to this point $285,000 toward the purchase of the carts that they bought from us. They still owe us $576,150, and we'll be seeing that money over the next few weeks. So that's going to go up a lot, obviously, and then plus all the cart rentals that we get, that'll grow, continue to grow. So
Go straight to the cart.
go straight into the cart. Yep,
So is your monthly lease coming out of that? fund?
it does. Yeah, and we've already paid out the
What's the actual number?
day by course. I've got it printed out. Let me get that for you in a second. So, and then the clubhouse fund, we have 235 left. Again, we got to do the bathrooms and the kitchens from that. Won't be a problem. And then the grounds fund is brand new. So it's actually, that thing got created over the last couple of days. So there's nothing in that now. But at the last council meeting and the last meeting, you guys approved $500,000 budget adjustment that would cover the cart pass, and some of the other projects that we were doing, some equipment, some different things. So the goal is to take that 500,000. Right now, it hasn't been moved, and move that 500,000 into that big bucket. Our total fund balance right now is like somewhere around 1.8, somewhere like that. So we still have 1.3 plus in the fund after that 500 is transferred. Yeah, so we have all this plus the 500 will be from that account, and we can.
Just see all that money there. You don't have to approve spending.
That's right. That's right. It's already been.
Earmarked.
This money has already been approved. Yeah, and it's earmarked. The goal is to get this all set up where that it all sits in that big bucket, and we just pull it to you need equipment. I'll pull $28,000 out of the project fund and put it in the equipment fund. We can get the.
So what would be the deal? We'll still.
Yeah, the purchase process is still exactly the same. This doesn't affect that at all. Yep. Okay. Some of when you look at our budget, the line items that we had issues with, the main three, personnel services, so labor, we would need to look at that. And as we go through the budget, I've got some ideas for that I want to run by you. Our food and beverage cost, we were budgeted pretty low on that, and we ran out of money, which is fine because that means you got to spend money to make money. So that just means we were selling more and we didn't have the expense side, enough money in that budget to cover the food costs. And then the irrigation, of course, we had all that expense at the first of the year, which kind of set our commodities and our contractuals. Right out of the gate, we had quite a chunk taken out of those because of that. So knowing the age of our irrigation, that's something I think we need to look at and make sure we have enough to cover the expenses. All right, as we go through this tonight, on the expense side, the changes that I would like to make would be, I want to look at adding a new position. We talked about the roaming mechanic. We can factor in the expense on that. Now, of course, I think that position is going to have a ton of benefit, not only cost savings from having to pay someone to do that, having to pay them to come pick up the equipment, take it to the shop, and the downtime where the equipment's sitting at a shop, we would have someone on staff fix the stuff and keep it, not only fix it, but keep it maintained better. And this person would also kind of be the equipment manager. So they would track the expenses and the costs on each piece of equipment. I think that the benefits to that would be huge. And then the second expense would be a pay increase for seasonal employees. I think right now we got everybody above 10, but right at 10. So most of our seasonal employees right now make right at $10 an hour. You can go anywhere in the city and make $12, $13, $15 an hour. We cannot find help. They show up for an interview, find out the pay, and they leave. They don't come back. And they deserve more than what they're getting, most importantly. So
What's the process for increasing that? The whole scale.
so tonight, what I'm hoping for is guidance from you guys, direction on what to do. Now, that doesn't mean what we decide in this room is definitely going to happen. What will happen is we take the guidance from you, and it's up to me. We'll help with these guys, with HR, all to make sure we can work toward that goal that we set tonight, but stay within policy, follow all the city stuff that we have to do. So what would happen with that would have to be HR would have to get involved, finance will have to get involved, just to look at the impact on the budget, look at the HR policy to make sure that there's equity among similar positions in other departments. There's a lot that happens there. I got a taste of it last year when I raised most of the people's pay a little bit, and it's not easy, but I think one thing they're going to want is, has your board reviewed this? So that's why I want to bring this up tonight, get that step knocked out so that I can take that into those meetings that are already finished.
How are these bills pay compared to the other parts?
Run the low end. Run the low end. Yeah, I don't see that other side, but I know just in conversation that I think we're more on the low side.
I had a conversation with some man. Rule of thumb, most where you walk in the door, maintenance is somewhere around $15. Which, if you do that, you have to backtrack and pick up the guys that been there first. It's not really part of the case. They do, but then you get inequities in that particular number. If you bring somebody in 15 and somebody else has already been there, so you're making 14. So
Right.
It's
What I'm looking at, is just make a dollar amount per person. Start with that, and then we'll figure out with HR, we'll work through how it works. But what I'm going to show you in a minute basically would be a $2 increase to seasonal staff across the board. We can look and see the impact of that. So we'll get to that in a minute. On the revenue side, the changes that I think would be most beneficial and most warranted would be an increase in green fees. Got a visitor. An increase to green fees. We did membership this year. I don't want to touch membership this year, but I think one of the big things I heard is why our members taking the burden of everything, and the green fees have not went up in years. I think someone in this room got a call from another golf course who said they typically do their adjustments when we do ours, and we haven't done ours in so long, and they were basically like, come on, like hurry up and change so we can raise our green fees. So and they are more than we are. But there's not been a change, and I think that's an area, especially we changed the $1 to $3 for the equipment fund. So I think we at least need to cover that. Even if we go $2 per green fee, which we can talk about that number, I think we at minimum need to increase the green fee by that amount to cover that. And then an increase in range ball. Our large bucket right now is $7. That's a small bucket just about anywhere else you go. So I think there's an opportunity there, even if it's a buck. We sell a lot of range balls. It's a big number. That'd be good. Expected revenue increases.
Shoot them.
Areas where I see us making improvements next year, food and beverage, I think is going to go up tremendously with the new setup that we're going to have, the new venue, the new clubhouses, the golf simulator. Obviously, that's new revenue we've never had. We've made clothes. We've had several people. We just opened it on Friday. We've had several people booked, and the money's coming in already. New events, we are definitely adding new events to the calendar next year. So, you do an event right, you can definitely make some money real quick. It's not hard to make $4,000 or $5,000 on an event if you do it correctly. So, we had a few of those throughout the year. It's a big jump. And then new memberships. We did the increase in July, when the middle of the summer, June, I think. So even if we don't change from last year, we only had half a year of the increase rate. So next year we'll have all 12 months. So just by that, it will go up, but I think we can add members as well. Okay, now before we get into looking at the budget, diving into the numbers, I've asked Brandon to kind of give us an explanation of the budget process, just so we all understand how this works and the timing of it all. So Brandon, if you don't mind, I'll let you run through that.
Sure. So, first of all, when the city talks about the budget, we're not just talking numbers. A good budget does show you how you make your money and how you spend your money, but a great budget also shows you what do you do. So anybody in the city can look in your budget book and be able to say, what does the city of Wichita do? What does the golf department? And then they should also be able to look at the document and then answer the question, well, how well are we doing? So you'll see some of those steps as we go through kind of our process. Right now, in November, December, we are monitoring the actual expenditures, and we're just making sure that we follow the budgets and that we're not getting tight, that we don't have to make any adjustments. But then we'll start the budget cycle again coming up in January. Jesse and I will have the opportunity to sit down and we'll look at, continue to look at the budgets, and I'll actually be able to make some changes. Finance will open up our budget process, and we'll be able to actually make line item changes and requests throughout that time. So staff, if you have any requests or have any like equipment that you need, that you know that you're going to need this year that we don't have budgeted, talk to Jesse and get that the earlier we know some of those needs, the earlier we can make requests for that. So that usually happens around the January, February timeframe. We'll also look at staffing. However, I don't budget staffing. That's done over in the budget office. They usually just, it's pretty simple. They just plug in the people that we know that are hired and plug in all of their benefits and all of their tax rates and stuff, and pretty much just times that by 12 months. And then you know how much money you're going to spend during the year. They also, pay increases, they'll be able to track when those happen. So they usually do a pretty good job of knowing those and calculating the personal services costs. So all of those line item changes are happening around January, February. Also, what happens in February, we put together what's called division annual updates, and this is our narrative. So these are letting the budget office and the city manager's office know, again, kind of what we do. If there has been any major changes throughout the year, if there are changes we're wanting to make for next year. This is really the opportunity for us to tell our story to the manager, to the city manager, and letting them know, kind of what are the big picture items, what are the things that we're needing to do coming up in this next year. And then this is also the time where we look at our performance measures. This happens all citywide. Every department looks at their performance measures. We calculate all that data and put it together, and we present that. We turn that in around March. So by March, we should have a pretty good idea of our narrative should be done, our performance measures should be entered, and they'll cut off my access to make any changes into the budget in around March. Yeah.
Hi, first, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Performance measure, is that basically a budget tax? What components? Is that what that is?
No, these are things like how many 9 holes of golf did you sell?
Okay.
So these are yes, yeah. So these are and the city is going through a process this last year. They hired a consultant to look at all of our performance measures and the citywide. And so a lot of those some of those may change. We're looking at basically started asking questions of, do we still really care about these measures? Are these ones that we track monthly? Are these things that we only track during the budget because we've always tracked them during the budget? They don't really matter. So we're trying to get some more meaningful measures citywide, and that includes the golf division.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and so by March, the finance department, the budget office will shut off my access to make line item changes, but I can still watch the process. Then it'll be their turn to either say, yes, we agree with your increases or your decreases. Because sometimes I'll move money from one line item to another. And sometimes I will increase the line item and say, the cost of this item is going up. Like inflation is happening, cost of materials is going up, we're going to have to budget more for that item. And they're, so they will look at it and they'll approve all of the increases, all the decreases. And then all of that changes will go to the city manager. And then April, typically in April and May, we have sit-down meetings with the city manager's office. Every department will go in and meet one-on-one with him in the budget office in April. And that's the time that he'll ask questions. He will ask about the performance measures. He does care about those, so he will look at those and be like, I see that this measure went up or this measure went down. Why was that? Is this a trend going forward, or is that kind of a one-off thing? And so then he'll look at, well, do we need to increase spending to make that measure go up? So he does ask questions about that. Typically not a lot for golf, but there is also an opportunity for us to submit what we call program options. And those are one-off items that are above and beyond just like price changes. So normally the changes that I can make in the budget would be the cost of doing business like we did last year. Like if those costs went up, if I can make those changes. If we are making program changes like hiring new staff, like the maintenance mechanic, we will need to put together a program option and let the city manager know this is, we want to hire a new person. We think that the cost of that person will be offset by savings. And so it will be like a budget neutral, or actually generate more savings. And then, but the manager does go through all of those. He does approve or deny those program options. So there is an opportunity there to ask for more. He's usually pretty lenient with golf because it is your own fund. It's not the general fund. It's not generated with property tax. Since golf does sustain its own with its own revenues, as long as the bottom line is fine, he's usually pretty good with allowing those types of items. So that gets us through April, and we will have and really at that point, the budget is pretty solid for moving on. Because we can change the current year, so we'll be able to modify and change 2024. And then we'll be setting the budget for 25 and 26. 25 will actually be voted on, and that will be adopted and be, well, 24 and 25 will be reported to the state. 26 is really, it's like a proposed budget. It's really more for planning purposes for the years. So in May, then we'll start citizen engagement in May. The budget office will go out to the DABs, and they will also do some social media town halls, Facebook, Twitter, I guess it's X now. Those types of platforms, and they'll bring up some of the big issues that are some of the big changes that are going on citywide, and get public comment. Try to see if the citizens are okay with what we want to do, or if we get a lot of feedback. No, that's stupid. Which we get both. We get, hey, that's a great idea, and we get that's stupid all the time. And then in May, we'll have like a city council workshop where we present the budget. Actually, up to that point, we're still talking to the budget office will be in pretty constant communication with council, so there shouldn't be any surprises. Again, they should have been to all of their DABs, so the council should know what's in the budget. But they will do a budget workshop, and it's an opportunity to get feedback. So then in July will be the actual and if there are any changes that departments see that we have to make by June, there's usually June will be like the cutoff of making any last minute changes to the budget. Because then by July they'll go to council and they'll formally submit the budget to council. There will be several council meetings where the public will have an opportunity to weigh in. Um, and then once they have enough, once they meet the you have to have so much time for public comment, and once they meet that time for public comment, then in August, we'll have the last public hearing, which the council will officially adopt. Also in July, when we submit the budget, that is also when the maximum taxes to be levied is set, so we can't go any more than that. So once we submit the budget in July, we're pretty much locked in. Now, that does not apply to golf, but that applies to like property taxes. So by August, council will approve the budget, and then we'll move forward. And then by that time, we're just basically monitoring it and then making sure that we it'll usually by September, by the end of that third quarter, it'll hit our financial systems. And so that the changes that have been made to our accounting software, and by that time in the fourth quarter, it's just monitoring and making sure that we spend it the money. Hopefully that makes any sense. If you have any questions, please. Yeah.
So in today's discussion, are we going to include the topic of our CIP recommendation from last May? Is that part of today? How does it fit into this timeline? How are we doing it?
So CIP also, it works, it's basically done during the same time as the budget. And so when we, in July, whenever they present the budget, they're also presenting the CIP. And both of those documents get approved along.
Presented by whom?
By the budget office, by city finance.
So tell me if I'm pushing too hard here, but so last May, we made a recommendation for to suggest that some CIP money be spent on irrigation systems. That was in May. I'm not sure what happened to it after that point. We're still not clear on that, probably because we're all a little naive about the process, and this has helped tremendously with that. So what we want to know is what needs to happen to that proposal so that it gets definitive this timeline and can maybe get some due consideration, because I don't know where it got lost, but apparently it got lost.
Do you want to handle that one, Jessica? Do you want me to?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So when you're talking about the CIP, we do submit a list of projects. Every department's list. We send out our list of projects. Then a committee looks at those, and they rank. Golf. It really kind of depends on how we want that funded. How we want to fund the irrigation. Do we want to spend that with, basically with our capital projects, or that project that we were just looking at with the big project? That is really the way the city manager wants to do that. He wants to look at how we can self-fund the irrigation. The other option would be to put it on the CIP and have it funded through general obligation bond. Basically, the city would then take out debt and would take out bonds, and they would pay. We would make payments on debt service and pay it off that way. We use that for lots of other things, other projects in the city. The manager looked at that and said, I think he pretty much made the decision last year that he did not want to use general obligation bonds to fund the irrigation projects. I don't know if he's changing his mind on that, but or if the committee looking at the CIP project and change their mind on that, we can always submit that again. We can always check again, but I think the message that we received was they would like us to find a golf revenue solution for the irrigation.
Sure.
Maybe. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that's pretty much my recollection too. Marcia, I just want to expand upon that a little bit and say that I don't remember it being disclosed to this board as blatantly, but the inclusion in the CIP, whether it's cash funded like you guys are looking at, or your proceeds from your operations, or debt funded with the bonds, you will have long-term impacts on that, obviously. You'll either be reducing operating cash,
Indeed.
or you'll start, you'll get on a schedule for debt payments for however long the bonds issue. So, yeah, just a technical add-on to Brandon's explanation there. Yeah, it's not like the CIP is just money that's
I caught of money sitting out there.
exactly responsible by the other funds because you guys are enterprise.
Understand.
Yeah.
And those debt service payments would be coming out of the.
Over a longer term.
Right.
Than what we could try to come up with. I mean, coming up with a couple of million out of our, to do one course.
Correct.
Out of our revenues is challenging to say the least.
So that's set by the vendor or set by the council?
Well, the manager, you asked the
So
question,
if you
who submits?
go out and fix the street, but that money comes out of the CIP.
Well, and then Marcia asked the question of who submits the budget, like in July, who submits the CIP? Technically, it's the manager. The manager, it's the manager's budget and the manager's CIP. He would get that to council. No, he submits his plan and the council looks at it, they can make changes. And they can make changes. They can say, yes, we agree with that. No, we don't. And at that point, they can make changes. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do make changes and so that the budget and the CIP is different in August, whenever they do vote on it, approve it in August.
So I think what he, correct me if I'm wrong, he's saying when it gets to the city manager, he
Right.
says, I don't want golf. It's not going to council. Golf's not. And
Not unless members of the board say, hey, council members, I want you guys to look at this.
Right.
You have that opportunity to talk to the people that you on this board, say, hey, well, we want you to look at this.
So the only way to get around that would be to go to the council persons and solicit those.
That would be good. That was one of the ways.
An important part of the conversation in terms of involvement in the CIP that we always is kind of brought up is the 5.6, almost 5.7 million balance on the balance sheet for the golf fund that's still owed to the general fund, the debt service fund.
That's our maintenance.
So it is brought up by the manager.
Yeah, it just uses that as a way to fight against golf and tries to privatize it. That's 5.6, and then they, like the tax levies, like this, particular division. One option, correspondent, comes out to play golf, that we bought it stuck on because the city manager.
Yeah, not that I agree or disagree with anything, Mike. I just wanted to point out that in the previous discussions that I've been a part of, that has always been brought up. So that's kind of a sticking point has been so far.
So what's the balance of?
It's actually, $5,668,420.
How much is paid on that every year?
A payment has not been received on that, and this is off the top of my head, so it might not be exact, but a payment hasn't been made on that in more than 5 years, I think. Yeah. So it was the supplement of debt owed by the golf fund. The general fund or debt service fund came and they made the payments on behalf of. And so then the golf fund was supposed to annually pay down that debt owed to the other state fund.
Is that tied into the Auburn Hills stormwater living component?
We have to do some more research on it because obviously that was way time to before I don't want to give you the wrong answer. But yeah, so I believe some of those bonds were from Auburn.
You listen from folks back in the late 90s. The deal was this development, the extra tax money developed on homes around there to pay off their facility. They had $74 million or something like that that they approved. Well, city manager and a couple of developers spent another $5.6 million to get that development thing. That's why you got stuck in it. It shouldn't be very poorly out the tax revenue until things because retired and let things been over. In the meantime, you build another golf there. We had $1 billion because of surveys. You lost $4 billion. It was all done by the council manager. Didn't have anything to do with golf. They never got the building.
Well, I'm not even figuring out because it's 6 years of working here. I heard anything from that has been paid to it's not paid to 5 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil, 7 mil. Depends on who you talk to. You know, I didn't get all kinds of reasons why, and it's just confusing.
The debt's been paid. It was paid by the obligation bond that they did on the facility. But the debt was paid off, but they originally said it would do off the tax. And then they quit right there. They hadn't paid it off because the city had a debt service there and they couldn't even hang it out. It had to be paid. That's what they did, left on books and said, the golf system owes it's another $5.6 million.
Was there some kind of an interest-free situation set up that they pushed it back and like gave 5 more years, but there was no interest, or is that?
We would have, Mark, I don't know.
Okay.
We would have to do some research on that agreement.
Just
Yeah.
questions that I've heard. Thank you.
It seems like this is a pretty critical piece for us to know.
Yeah.
I agree with your whole argument until 2006, the health division paid every nickel off that they borrowed. They sustained themselves, got a nickel from anybody. Except for revenue derived from use of premises.
So, you know, Mr. Norton was in my position, at one point. So he was here.
Way too much of that. It's hollering the top. And so, when they decided to do all that, that forced the system basically in the bankruptcy, they were to sustain what they wanted to have because they didn't pay off the debt service. They held it over our head and said, you can't, they should claim the left, still on this chest. Well, what they've done is basically destroyed everything until they lost Black Park. And the manager didn't want to do this anymore, so they tried to fund it. Which under his guidelines, I think that's what he thought was critical. But when that failed, but in the process of trying to get to that point, they kept cutting and cutting and cutting. Well, you cut so much, which you're still deriving revenue, that really revenue. So it looked like a great deal. And they're real progressive. Jesse came. We did all these things you've seen. I mean, that all costs money, but it often wiped out all that money that kind of got saved in those 2 or 3 years when humanity was trying to get rid of us. That excess money that was in the funds was what, got up to 3 million, 4 million, or what?
The excess, I'm having trouble following what you're saying. But
Well, overall, they cut so many of the services and personnel.
Yeah.
And they got where you showed a large unencumbered amount of money.
Yeah, this is 2 million. I was walking.
when you started, yeah, but that's about right. Luke's gonna take a look here and see.
And Mike, have you ever heard anything from this management office as to any specifics on why they want to eliminate the golf? Or why they want to advertise?
Yeah, I can't read it. That's what something I can't, the manager doesn't talk to us, so. Unfortunately, it just kind of rolled downhill and got us what it was.
If that's something that the golf business is.
I mean, we were, I'll be candid with you, in the mid 2000s, until 14 or 15, those time frame, y'all was taking a hit. We were losing money. That's why you lost Brayburn, you lost Flat Park, you lost Echo Hills, you lost Twin Hills, 4 or 5 golf courses that went bankrupt. They couldn't sustain themselves. And we, like I said, we were part of it. And COVID hit. People were sent home, they went to work. They started working golf, which we reopened the golf. And it's been a boom, it has. So it has sustained itself. And it showed statistically, we got like a 40% national increase in golf. And it sustained itself. We're still showing like a 30% nationwide. That's what golf has increased, which is why we're able to do what we're doing. But that's going to hit the wall.
So for the sake of the meeting, I think to answer your original question 20 minutes ago, how does this affect what we do tonight? It's difficult because you want to plan almost with it and almost without it. We have no idea what's going to be. nobody knows, you see that, we're not gonna want at this point, so. We do know we have to do something about irrigation. We don't know how to do that quick, so we're looking at the budget, trying to figure this out, it's. I don't know how to talk about it, I mean, even if we say, what's it gonna?
Pretty big swing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to do. Yeah.
What's the city get on a 10-year GO? 5 or 6%, what is that, what they're paying?
Yeah, we'll just see if I can. So. Doesn't take a minute, so you guys do.
I just want to hear this.
All right, well, they're looking at that.
What are the implications on that 5.6 that you said?
So obviously I don't speak on behalf of the city manager, but in my time that I've been here, I've been with the city for 5 years. I have not heard a stated expectation of it. It's merely been discussed. I've never heard one way or another. Jesse, you are obviously at the budget hearing last year, so I don't ever recall hearing anything of if you pay it or you don't need to pay it or anything like that. So no.
And I've had different people in different positions tell me different answers. Like you don't know where it's just there, it doesn't matter, we ignore that. And then I've heard, no, the doctor's gonna have to pay that back at some point, and then, no, it needs to be wiped off the books because it shouldn't be there, like I've heard, and it's basically, so I'm with him, I've never heard you true. Basically, what are we supposed to do about this?
They just basically keep that as a little hammer in your head, so you can't get out.
Is that something that we can take to the city council members and request that would be forget that it's enough of it ever work? That's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've heard is that I don't remember specifics on who it was, or I don't remember, but I've heard that at least one city council person was good with either forgiving that or doing irrigation with alcohol. So if we forgive that debt, then no, we're not also going to fund irrigation. If we're fund irrigation, we still have to pay. That's not me directly, is what I'm trying to say. It's a frustrating situation for us, to be honest with you. So, I don't know. I mean, I think that's something, we talked about Marcia being the liaison between the board and city council. So maybe trying to get her to get in front of as many of them as you can get feedback from them on what direction we need to go. I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, maybe in the next meeting, send something, pushing on information or something, probably others.
And that is, just on this out there, I've become a target. I've had meetings with Mr. Johnson, Mr. Gladcock, Scuttle, and I meant to get a new mayor-elect discussing these things, but it's still up in the air. We are going to attempt to obviously get some help from the council. That's where the council is where it winds up sooner or later.
Okay,
I have one more question about the budget process. On the readiness shows the actual and revised. What are those dates? Not when did the actual show up and then revised? Track.
For the budget, I'm just trying down. So, in August, with during this timeline that you're discussing, when the council reviews the budget that was brought forward by the manager, that budget will include the revised budget for the remainder of that fiscal year.
Right.
And the next year's proposed budget. Okay. So you guys have your 2024 budget already established. And, so you already have your 2024 budget established that will get you through, past the second quarter. And then the discussions that Jesse will have, the direction that this board gives him that he takes into the budget process at the beginning of next year, that will pass the remainder of 24 and 25.
So February, when that revised from is.
Yeah.
That's when the department has their ability to, yes, make changes.
That's when we'll start putting the
So-
changes together, but those don't actually go into effect.
Let me use this sheet to kind of maybe give you a visual on what we're saying. So, over on the right
So this is 2022. In the middle, this section right here, it was 2023, this year through the end of October. And then on the left would be next year. So right now, the 2024 adopted budget is the budget that we have through August of next year, really through the end of August of next year. What we do tonight will be this adjustments, which we would try to get implemented into the revised budget that would finish out the year. And that would, those new numbers, if it works out where we hope, would show up in September of this year, but let us get the beginning of the year. So what we do tonight is not going to go into effect next week. It really won't go into effect until the end of August, right? Okay, so what we've got here, we've got revenues, all the different revenues, and we Kyle kind of put this together, and it's got where we're at so far this year and what our budget is. We use that to kind of look at what we expect for next year. This is the budget that we have for next year. We're going to make changes in this column here, and I don't know what I'm typing this in, but just to show you how the spreadsheet. Show you how the spreadsheet works. As I change that number, and if I want to increase what is this, passes by 10,000, I'll automatically it shows the revenue expected. So we'll go line by line here. I think it's the best way we can go through most of it pretty quick. And then so you got the revenues up top. If we get down here to expenses, we can go through like contractual, what's in contractual, right? Click here, it kind of breaks down what is the new balance. Really, what all these blue numbers will add up to the stock number. Really, all that matters is the stock number. It doesn't matter if we go over in this one and under in this one, as long as this number gets in there. Okay, that's why they're kind of closed off. And then this number is, we got all total revenues, total expenses. This is our net profit at the end of the year. The way we're trying to move to, we've said we want $1 million to be the minimum that our account ever gets down to. So at the end of the year, the goal is to make it so that whatever is over $1 million would automatically transfer into that project fund. That way, anything on the course, we have money to use. The parts will be taken care of. Any equipment we need to buy, we have money to use. And any clubhouse changes, we have money to use without having to go to council while maintaining $1 million. Next year, as we build that fund up throughout the year, if we end the year with $1.8 million in the fund, $800,000 would automatically transfer into that fund. That saves us from having to go through 2 months trying to get on the city council agenda and get all this approvals. We have that money to do the things that we need to do. So we end up with $1 billion balance. Everything going that was going into the project. So we can dive in here. Just go to line by line. So land lease, that is this is revenues again. This is a cell phone tower that we get paid for. We have no control over that. We've got 17,200. So far we got 17,000. So I don't know if we think that's going to change. And this is part of where I'm at here. Room rentals this year, if we have 2,000 budgeted, we've done 10,000 this year. I expect that to go up a lot next year. We've already increased it by 8,000, so I think it's very realistic to put $15,000 to think that we would make 15,000 one.
Now, when we talk about revenues, the thing to think about is that if you go over your budgeted revenues, that's okay. You can go over your budgeted revenues. You can make more money than what you think. And so really what you're looking at is wanting to set your how much do you think you're going to be making, how much profit are you going to be making at the end of the year? So you also don't want to set it too high that you don't make those goals.
I want to be very conservative up here, very conservative on the revenues and over extend on the expenses. Just to respect the word. So 15,000 to me is very, I honestly think we're going to blow that out of water. So I think 15,000 and the revenues really don't matter other than when we get to expenses, we can make sure that we're covered. Okay. Golf cart rental, I don't see any reason to change that. We're going to end up a little bit ahead, I think, this year over budget, but rain, there's so many factors, weather and different things. As much as I want to say we're going to make money, there's too many factors out of our control. So I don't see any reason to change that. want to do this so I can see them over there. Advertising down there, sell merchandise. Again, we're gonna be a little over that. That's the golf pros. I don't see any reason to change that. I don't even know what that is. It's less than $1,000.
It's like your convenience fees for your credit card. It's your credit.
Revenue? This is the revenue.
Because, yes, we charge like a convenience fee based on your credit card transaction. So it's not a lot. And that's a perfect line.
Okay. All right, it's a small amount.
It is.
It's up there. We don't have any there. Anyway, entry and participation fee, we are adding more events. We're going, I expect that to go up. I have, what you see over there? Inside, thinking that we're at 65, no, we're at 74, so we're already $10,000 up. So I think adding $15,000 to that line is very realistic. I think the world right out of water as well. Concessions, here our revenues, our I have here. Right now we have 589 budgeted so far through October, not counting November, December. We're at 625. We did these kitchen renovations. I'm going to be very conservative. I'm like, well, this is one. Adding 35,000 to that line. That's not much at all. I think that is extremely conservative. If that would put us at 624, less than what we're doing, what we've done this year, actually. Yeah. I think I'm going to put 35 over the dimension. So that's, even if we only had $50,000, even if we only had $50,000, that puts us pretty much steady than what we did last year. There's no way that's not going to.
Are you anticipating the mid-range and everything?
Yeah.
For next year?
Yeah. Definitely by end of June.
Jesse, back on that.
Yep.
So you think tournaments that entry participation line or will blow out 80?
Yeah, we did 74. We're at 74 for
You got a bunch of tournaments that are going.
way more than next year. Yep. And we're adding some internal tournaments for several before.
Back up to your grade,
Yeah.
what's the basis? Let's say we average 175. You get X amount of dollars, or you projecting that out to where it shows how much money you make per round, so that you eliminate whether it's a season bad.
Yeah, I can tell you right now the percentage the percentage we have of member rounds versus greenfield rounds.
Well, I mean, in terms of the total money you make, in terms of the total rounds, you just divide it out and you're gonna make, I know your green fee out here, let's just say your green fee's 28, but if you take what you make, or take what you make and divide it by the rounds, the actual money that you make per player is $20.
Mhm.
And then you're using that number then, based on 175, which is a pretty average amount per year of play.
Yeah.
And then that's how you come up with 1.8 million.
I don't know where this number comes from. This is from the budget office, so I don't know where. Okay. What I'm looking at is what we've done this year. And this is at about 190,000 round. I don't see, other than potentially raising the green fee, which.
Oh, I'm just saying, if we use a number, that's 175,000. Well, this year we might run 190. Right?
Right. This year we did 190. I don't see it. We can't go more than that. We were past.
Well, we're 81 so.
181, yeah, but we've done,
And so basically in December, if you run 9,000, that's pretty good here.
we did 9,000 in half of November, so I think.
So if we were running, basically, the amount of money that projections that you might be over would be whatever money you make then that other 15,000 rent. And that would just be extra revenue, right? Which they would be transferred in. So I would think that you would want to set that number at something that allows you, if you get having to pay for irrigation out of your pocket, you're gonna have to be able to put that money into your new projects box, right? I guess that's how you get.
What this line item, this particular line item is not really gonna affect how much goes into the bucket. What matters is how much over $1 million we end up total, everything all in. So what I put on this just doesn't really affect how much goes into the project.
Well, I mean, but you don't want to set aside, you know, that you think that you might be able to manipulate.
Right.
This year you're at 1.6, right? So even if you raise the rate fees, you're probably not going to get that 1.8.
Right, right. That's why I said I don't really see much reason to change. I think that's a pretty.
But I was just asking how the basis got there, so.
Yeah, as far as this number, it was, I honestly,
I mean, honestly, it's probably bit by the trend of what we've done actual. And so I think we probably looked at the last 3 years of actual revenues and then probably maybe inflated it by 5% or something like that.
Rather than basing it on a number of rounds times a dollar figure,
Right.
or is it trend?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's probably how I did it, or how we've done it in the past, to get that number. We can look at, doing it the calculation method. That's-
I'm so
But
curious.
we've probably been budgeting it by trend.
Scroll to the right, because 22, it still shows at 1.8, even though we haven't made that each year.
right. 22 was 1.7, but it's still, it actually went down. You look at 8.4, it's 1.69. Yeah.
Does it make sense for us to keep it at 1.8, so we don't make or take that?
Well, I mean, isn't that line item affected by the number of memberships we're selling?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's green fee there.
No, I know,
No,
but I'm saying you're gonna have less green fees if you have more memberships.
right.
And we're pushing memberships. So it kind of makes sense to me that our green fees are at best gonna stay flat.
Well, the main question is, do we think we can make 150
Yeah.
next year? And if we don't think we can make it, if we think we can do more than that, I would be more.
Well, we're at 1.6 this year. I mean, plus 2 months.
Right. Let's see, 2 months left. Close.
I guess I'm actually pessimistic in the historically, we've run 175,000 around the year.
Right now, we've averaged about $160,000 a month in Greenwood. If we do more than that, over November and December, we could do 1.78. So drop that.
I think we dropped it a little because
40,000, you know? Right. So, you know. All right. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Season passes out. But it shouldn't go down. If anything, they should go up because like I said, we have a whole year of new rates instead of the 6-7 months.
The season passes make 1.7 million.
I don't say 1.2 right now, for this year, so.
That, yeah, it still has 2 big months left. Yeah.
Oh, there's no better than December, like,
Yep. Well, is there $55 come show up here?
No, that'll be.
Okay, so you got right now, what you doing? Probably over that. Let's say 50,000 if we go flat over around, I don't think that goes up, but. I'm okay with that. That would be, right now, let's say we should have made close to just under about 280,000 November and December. So
1.56, 1.5. City office. But I haven't done it for the last year, but the one for strong. About that, we're gonna have $12 more per $12 more per person for 6 months more than what we have this year. So. $8 grand, that's everything. I see. All right, driver range fees, we're at 195, room through October. 187, there's not going to be there. And up $200, which is we call today going down, I think they want to see an increase to that, so as you call it, we're losing it. It's here in the credit, which is not. We're going to be well above that number this year, so I think I'll make it go out next year. Simulator, I think very conservatively, I think we could do put 30,000 there, and I'll bet very conservative. I think for these weekends, and whatever we can get that there. So. The living conventions, just that's the rebate we get from gas each year. As you look over in 22, we got 21,000. We didn't get, it doesn't show any this year. Instead of showing that as a revenue, we just showed it as where it offset the expense of it. So the expense actually went down instead of showing it as revenue. That was in order to free up a little bit more money for us to be able to buy more company this year. So I'm gonna leave that with zero, but I think we probably could be that way. So that should be.
So you can zero it out.
Yep. So the expense down below would show it actually. Okay. So, and this is all, so. It puts us at 5.6, again. That's extremely realistic, so we can put it from fairly, looking at the expense, okay, anything else in the revenue? Okay, and staff, this is where, when we get to the expenses here, this is where if you guys know, next year I'm gonna have to spend this, or there's something that we really needed to do this year, this is where please chime in as we go from these expenses. Looking at all personnel. Right now, we're budgeted 2.8. We're at 2.3. That's again, we still have 2 months left on this.
We're going to be right at 2.7.
Yeah.
So I'm going to include what you're trying to increase.
Yeah, yes, that's what I'm talking about. So the way I'll kind of, so if we start with the pay increase for staff. But with the pay increase for staff. We're looking at about 290 average out the year, 290 hours a week per course of seasonal staff. If we do that over the course of the year, that's about 15,000 hours, 15,080 hours per golf course per year. Times with 4 courses, but just over 60,000 hours a year. Let's say we get a $2 increase, just hypothetically, that would have a $120,640 impact. Roughly $120,000 impact to the personnel.
What's the back up for overtime?
Well, there is the land. Well, since there's overtime on this. So, that golf personnel was including payroll taxes. So the seasonal, there's no benefits, it's just straight pay. Okay, now the beginning position we're looking at, looking at that position, it looks like somewhere between 40 and 60,000. That's probably a similar position. It's kind of rate that we need to be in, maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little low.
40 would be low, 60 would be more like it. To get help from you guys with the benefits included, what's the
For that one position.
yeah, let's say 50,000, just for an easy number with the salary.
Third,
We're down to. Yeah,
Around that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so. Anything else with 67? Well, 67, you can look at, if we did those two things started, so you're looking at.
Hourly payroll tax is about 18 to 20%. So it's about $2, you'd be another 36 cents. Was it closer to what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, huge impact. Right now, we can't find staff. We don't pay them enough. I mean, I feel like that's the one thing we're not gonna be able to continue. We can't keep people, we can't find people. We can't operate. So. Let's start with a $250,000 increase here, and we can go back and we can see where we still. That's a big increase, but. I think we don't understand. Contractually, right now, we're back to 1.2, we're at 959, contractual. On this, utilities, technology, charges, insurance, redevelopment, personnel services, building and equipment, and other controls, charges, so,
technology charging,
mhm.
is that IT?
Yes.
yeah.
That's just. We're buying our own programs and our own equipment. How do we get to?
Well, that also includes, like, we pay 25,000 roughly, or, it's operating system. That's in that, but I don't know what else. Any IT related system, the fee for that is included in that, plus the fee for IT for them. What they do.
Are you anticipating the new point of sale system for next year? Would that going to be another extra charge or?
No, it'll go replace, it's all the system, we're gonna be routing the same way. Now, one thing I do need to mention, this is a big deal, this week, we just got authorization, or basically an exception from Bank of America. We are under contract, the entire city with Bank of America, use their, use them for the processing fees, or for the processing for credit cards. That limited us because our POS system does not work with Bank of America. So that's why when you go to check in or buy something at the register, they type in the register and then it's separate. It's not integrated at all. It's a separate bill in the credit card machine, and we just have to hope that we match those up at the end of the day. That also kept us from having debit cards, doing any online payment, any online gift cards, anything. This past week, these guys, we got an exception from Bank of America to do whatever we need to do. And knowing these social processing. Well, that being said, now beverage cards very soon will have an automatic. They take credit cards. That's going to open up a ton of revenue opportunity. The online gift cards, we last year, when basically that capability just shut down one day with no warning in the first part of December, and we lost a ton of money in gift cards. We're hoping to have that up going about probably the first part of next week. If it passes, that's generally $25,000 revenue stream that we didn't have last year. So hopefully we can get that. Yeah. It wasn't good. When I first started, I can tell you, I brought that up and it was absolutely not. Don't even ask that question again. So, thank you. He kept asking. Yeah. So, again, looking at food and beverage, looking at some of the possibilities, that opens up a pretty good amount of opportunity for us to, but yeah, back here, technology, all of our systems, what you support.
It looked like we make a jumping for the question.
We're under utilities, we're running to 456, and we're at 315, now we still have 2 months, so I don't know, it'll make it a month. Utilities are all fine.
So water is more.
However, water like McDonald has not been what it was last year. They're still over. So that's putting in the retention funds, with the water water costs from McDonald's, it's not down. So that's a lot of your savings there.
The price is out.
No, price no.
I mean, I think we will. I don't know, it's what the cost of utilities, they're gonna continue to go, but I think this year we're gonna come up with maybe a little bit under, so. If you look at the budget, there's 457, and this year's 476, there's $20,000. I'll be sure this year, yeah. So,
I don't know, you get heat over on the brick or that.
oh, yeah.
What's it going to get out here?
Go in Steve's office. That would be going to conferences, any of that kind of stuff, any kind of education, continuing education, the PGA, did those things that, to me is extremely important.
We went over, like, 3 times.
Or we actually, yeah, well, there's nothing budget. So, yeah, I want to increase, yeah. I want to increase that, not nothing on it.
There was a time when you said you wouldn't send the one individual, you guys, going to the conferences, or giving out videos, your dad and everything else. It's a major thing for the networking, for the superintendents and for the programs. If you need to increase that a bit, as much as we think we can possibly.
It's sort of, as long as they only went to play. We just had a group that got back last week that went, to a local conference, the PGA show, working on a trip for that. To me, it's gaining the new information, stay current. You see the new items, new processes that you can implement. To me, doing this for as long as I have, taken a group to the PGA show or some of this training, they come back with new life. It's new energy. There's something therapeutic about going to a conference with people that deal with what you deal with. And more than anything, just talking through that, you feel, hey, I'm not alone. I'm ready to go. So to me, the benefits to that are huge. So
When you go to these, like, this, you're saying, WGA, GCSAA conferences, there is a workshops, there may be 100 workshops. So if a guy goes, one guy can attend 2 or 3. So if you stand 4 guys, you get 12 workshops. So it's got to be a boost to your productivity in terms of keeping current and up with all the credentials that you need.
Yep. But going through these this year, where so other contractual broke, there's nothing really.
We're not going to decrease utilities based. I'm just going to leave what it is.
I think legally, yeah.
Okay, what's,
Because we still have a little bit to go in here. I sure we're going to end up and then.
and we talked about technology. What's the insurance premium? Is that? What kind of insurance?
That's your building liability, also for your vehicles.
It just seemed low to me. I know.
My dad's got it your case. The only thing.
We're not spending very much, go up to 15,000.
Professional service.
What is professional services?
That's like,
What?
That's what?
I'll go to 15 on the one. So, if I think all 4 are kind of be there.
Yeah, well, that's professional service. We're way over.
that's like, there's quite a list here. Let me try to get so you guys like consulting services, marketing, feasibility studies. I think the major part was going to temporary help.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we couldn't find help this year, so we had to use Indio, which is a employment service. That's in that.
I think that's the major one that we were over this last year.
Yes.
That's what I remember.
So
Those,
the budget cuts back 22 grand on that professional services line from 23 to 24.
Yeah, it goes from 67 to 49.
No, that will be part of the justification that we make whenever we talk about your increasing your personal services. There will be a corresponding decrease in your contractual. So that'll be one of the talking points.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But this year we're at 74, and last year we were
Last year.
126.
22.
Am I reading that right?
Actually, they did all they went right through San Diego for all the, when did that stop?
So I don't know where the 45.8 came from, but it seems like that's a
Would that have been,
pipe dream.
would that have been,
Yes.
this number here, when we were bringing people out to do the irrigation pond, would that be the, like the consultants and the, I don't know, I wasn't here, but.
Right, some of that, like, some of that 126, we would actually now, it would be probably coded in the capital.
Okay. So,
So the two biggest parts for Marcy's question was in that group for this year, 50,000 in other professional services, which is going to be Cindy, right? And then 63,000 on service contracting, which would, be any miscellaneous work that you're charging to the operating, not capital project. So like when Jesse's talking about repairing $800 for an irrigation system, that kind of stuff. Ad hoc contracting stuff.
So that's not gonna go down.
but will that be coded different now or still be coded from?
If it's work being done, it should be coded as a trash. If it's like buying material, it would be the next step. So your services probably won't be going down. That is something also that you and I can look at. And we'll be looking at granularly to make it. I will look at this some more.
I cannot speak to the decrease when the budget was loaded, the projection was loaded for next year. I'm not sure what the reason behind that is.
So, just a second platform.
Yeah.
That's what it's gonna end up this year's. So do you think a big chunk of this money, this 74 that we spent this year, you think a big chunk of that is irrigation, like the people that we pay?
I think some of it is, yes.
Because there was a lot on that, doing that.
Yeah.
Darren's, well project, that was all custom, there was a lot of labor expenses.
Yes, a lot of the labor was related to the irrigation measures.
But
Could break it.
I was gonna say, if we don't change the irrigation systems, we're still gonna have something go wrong.
That one was. Did so much fabrication to make that work, man, a normal wood, but we had to literally put an entire well 60 feet in the ground that didn't fit the spot, so they had to make it, so.
And like we were saying, that we hope part of the offset here is that we won't be losing city people as much because we're paying more, so blah, blah, blah. So maybe those are offset kind of the,
If you,
We probably had 20.
I do want to correct something that I just told you guys. The Syndio is actually closer to 11,000 or so. The other professional services line looks like the signage that you got. They were about, for the courses and stuff, or whatever this luminous neon is. That's really. Well, that's the name of it.
sign up the screen and text and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we have, how many of those did we do? Sam, or tax, yeah.
That was a big bulk, but the largest bulk is one line.
So that won't happen again.
No, it won't. The utility maintenance contractors came out for 30,000 about and did.
For irrigation.
Yeah.
About 30,000 of this research.
How about if it's the signage, you said?
15 or so, about 15.
So 40,000 on the side of the 6 feet. For signage, that probably was started before I got here, nobody understood. Plus that was marketing, but
so the 74 that we've spent, we're thinking we're not gonna repeat.
I agree with you, signs. That's a big
15 plus some reduction from Cindy.
And also Jesse, your advertising is part of attraction. So advertising can be your marketing budget.
whatever, okay. So without the signage, we're at 60,000 this year.
Yeah.
With that 20,000, we're at 65,000.
Yes.
That's good. Okay, it's a little buffer.
Okay, so we need to add 35,000. This one, let's do it.
I think it,
Yeah, sorry.
Which formulas count? Come on.
I'm not.
I think we offer Excel classes.
I'm sorry, can I back you up just 1 second? Back to the contractuals. What's the other contractuals?
That's other stuff.
Budget.
A lot of other stuff.
Yeah, it's a fairly significant number there.
Yeah, what's,
10, and we've actually done 165.
what's 2Z, gentlemen?
Oh, the bank
Right
charge.
now, there's almost 100,000.
Like merchant fees.
Yeah. 75,000 in advertising.
We actually will have some little bit of savings with the credit card investment. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to commodity. Commodities. All together, we're at 561, which is about 10,000 up from what we were budgeted last year, but we're at 452 overall, so we are $100,000 remaining with 2 months to go.
And that's mostly your, like, your physical things that you buy that are less than $5,000.
So you got supplies, components, parts, kind of stuff, obviously materials, fuel, chemicals, I'll look at. And if you bring in, please jump in here. So, on line by line supplies, we got things that we're gonna tell them under there. Components and parts, we're way under there, which crazy. Because we send everything off to get it big. Materials,
So you, if you got your program option to do a welding mechanic, you.
That's what I was just gonna ask. Could we
increase.
make an argument for a decrease in that?
Components and parts.
So it would be an increase on this.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
But we have 5% per year.
Okay.
But we do that.
We've had some purchases made, I know, at least not in November. I don't know that we're up on that, but it'll be another week.
Components and parts, you better be careful there. If we don't get to replace some part irrigation,
Yeah.
that's where that's gonna fall. Yes, so patch that thing and patch it.
Well, the other thing, and tell me if I'm wrong, if we have an irrigation problem that costs $50,000, Brandon. Now, we have an irrigation problem that costs $50,000, we be able to use that grounds fund. Since it is a grounds project, how much it makes sense?
I'd have to revisit the item of saying to council to see. It sounds like it, but I definitively, I don't want to say yes without reviewing the intent on the agenda item that council said yes to.
You know, but I'll see for next week. What's there, I think I need to say so.
Just out of curiosity, what's it about? Cost me to take there. I haven't bought, I've just been using one on the shelf, so everyone. I haven't bought.
You know, we get my valves.
Yeah, look, if you have to dig out of the valve and put it in on and get all the parts and associated, making a hydrogen connection, plus it's going to cost. Well, listen, I was digging up one today. And I'm using valves that I already have, right? That might last 2, so I'm gonna have to start buying more. But just with the mechanicals also I bought. Almost $700. Basically, if you fix one of those valves, and you got multiple ones that aren't working, which put $1,000 tag. A lot of them, there's 2 valves.
I would think we could, project, take all the valves that aren't working, all the parts that. Yeah, fix here, really have certain parts and put that as one project. It just seems like that would make sense to be able to do that.
The problem is, if we can't get the system replaced and pay for one or the other, we got Band-Aid. Well, Band-Aid's gotta come out of the.
We can't spend money for a new one because we're spending all the money fixing those.
Right. Well, and it'll come out of, some of that money will come out of that one, but we'll also talk about our next category, capital. some of the bigger fixes for irrigation will come out of $175,000. That's where most of that, we'll talk about that one.
And Mike, the good thing here, this year we spent 130 in that line you're talking about, we have 240. We got $70,000 in there, there's gonna be 10,000, probably 15,000 more, but we've got at least $50,000 more than what we spent this year. Built into the
Those will fluctuate every year. I mean, you'll see some of those line items will go under budget and some of them will go over. And then the next year it'll be flipped. So like the ones that as long as we're okay on the overall, on overall commodities, it's really what
I just want to make sure we got it there because, I mean, obviously all the pumps that we fixed this year. So should last us another few years.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more.
Not only November, December, more, you're 110,000. Materials were at 47,000, what we spent with about 61,000. I mean,
You got, yeah.
Let's say-
If you want to rebuild the team, stick it in there for your materials, rebuild the team. This is where you got to put in there. If you got to fix some bunkers, this is where you got to talk up.
So that's gonna be like your concrete, your lumber, that kind of stuff.
now, I will say, my goal is to make, if we're redoing a T, I want to make that a project. I want this to be our day-to-day operating budget as much as possible. So year over year, we can see similar items and not, well, that year we spent an extra 300,000 here and it's not going to be there. It's all over the place. So what I would like to do is all of those projects, put together a project, take it out of the project fund and leave this as just your day-to-day, every year, this is what we know what we're going to do. But if you're cutting yourself short on the courses because you know, you don't have the budget to do things that you need to do continuously or repetitively. This is where we need to hear from you guys and say, I really want to do this to the course to make it better. We want the courses as good as possible. I want the money to go to the courses moving forward.
So we revised it to 71 in 2008.
So yeah, and in 22, we only spent 63,000.
And this year we've only spent 47.5 so far,
For October.
so far.
You should say, you're gonna plug everything, spread the projects into the projects. Which is a thing.
Yeah.
Chemicals would be the only one that probably.
That's, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I've got. We're gonna, the fuel, we're basically maxed out this year. Fuel.
And with one of the course, you pay electric, you're not going down.
Yeah,
Is that because we got put on? Like a little bit down because we.
well, I think fuel went up to 330 most of the year, last year. So let's look at last year, 22, we spent 82,000. And in 22, fuel was $4, I think, for a part of the year. So I think it's all, it will go down as far as our usage because we have less cars now, but it's all dependent on fuel price.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody at course too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the newer equipment should be more efficient than the old though. I don't know. I think with the savings that we're gonna have with the carts, I think we're probably okay. I think gas for the most part this year, like 350, it's went down the last few weeks, so I don't think it'll fill up.
For your next,
It's one of those things we have some flexibility on citywide. I know that Elizabeth does budget adjustments. She looks over the global.
So go up, don't adjust.
So right, so she may end up adjusting that
I guess.
based on
Sorry.
on the citywide trend.
Got it. Okay. If you,
You will still get, does the city have a contract? I think they get specifically buy.
Okay.
And whatever the floating price is, there is.
I'm not sure. We can find out, and get back to you.
Yeah.
I can find out and get back to you next year.
okay, chemicals. Right now, we are budgeted at, so this year, we were budgeted at 128,000. Next year, 137. So there's a built-in increase already of almost 10,000.
We've only spent up through the end of October, 95,000. Here's where I want to hear from you guys.
Fertilizer, herbicides.
Yeah, all your, you know,
I have a lot of extra. And I use that. So I'll be able to.
okay.
Did you guys get your early opening there?
Yeah.
Pretty well, seems like.
I think we'll be real close to what's already, you
You want to increase that by 15,000, we say?
The price of those things going up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there was some sod that went down, actually, the first thing I've seen in 10 years that went down. That's not, well, and it barely went in, but 15,000. So that would put us at 152,000. If, so right now, that would be about 50,000 more than what you spent this year through October.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Are you guys done buying for the year, so everything you have gets through the end of the year? No, there's
Yes.
no.
should you say?
Are you gonna buy any more in December?
Well. It would be for 2024.
Right, yes.
Are you gonna pay for it?
That's what you
Doesn't matter when it's used, when's it paid.
We might get our pre-emerging.
Yeah.
That's one. Now, if you want to use it on this year, but. So that year was this year.
You can spend, how much would it would be, the four courses roughly?
We already put it out. You already ordered it, so.
Yeah.
Everybody was.
Yeah.
I don't either.
I saw it.
Was the race still on?
Yeah, but this only goes through October. If they just did it the last month, it's not on. It'll show up when they give us 3 November.
Well, I haven't bought anything, it's quite a while.
Yeah, I've only seen a few things. So I think with that number, getting over 150,000 is a pretty decent increase. And again, we still have time to circle back to do this. Non-capital outlay, what is
Wait,
it?
what's other commodity?
Oh, cool, okay.
The other commodities is staying solid. So other commodities, they said there's a sand and sod.
Sod's probably gonna go up because I'm gonna be away from.
Maybe. So here's an example, sand is in this, you just mentioned we want to do some work on the bunkers, to me, we can make that project, a bunker project, and put that under that, instead of that huge go. So, but we obviously want to, 22,000. $14,000 over the year before we get 28,000, so,
Well, they put a lot of sand on spring.
you know,
Mhm.
it's pretty, trying to get rid of the layer. Increase that by 10,000.
These that were really wanting to do some projects like filling in bunkers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, just dirt material.
And again, if you're gonna do a major overhaul to the bunkers, you call that a bunker project and use that. So keep that in mind if you start doing these things. Non-capital operating, you said that's what?
Mostly tools.
Cool, okay.
It's mostly your shop stuff that's left to somebody else.
So. That's pretty.
I don't know why it went down 50,000.
We spent 80,000. 22, with an $80,000 budget, but here we spent 87.
I don't know why I did this.
The two cents were near about Southwest.
It's like,
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's a good point. We bought lifts for the, for 3 of the shops. We brought, what equipment?
That may have been why, because
It was like 6,000 in course, I believe. So 18,000.
we may have talked about those are one-time purchases that we did.
So that would, without those, we'd be at 30,000. Right on the budget. I think increase that by 10, maybe.
Query, a question on that, if you get your personnel through, yeah, I'm gonna have to You're gonna have to, you're gonna have to have, like you told me, detectives,
We have a lot of this stuff
Yeah,
that, yeah, in the shops where they stop, so. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some.
no, there's one, yeah. Do 10,000 to that one.
right on, but maybe.
All right.
Yes.
So what is that? 30, 45, and 45. Got you, but,
Yep, you're ready to go. That's fine.
okay. Come on here. Capital. Capital. Oh, let's see, missing from. We're budgeting 175 this year, we spent 149. The year before, we spent 76. Now, a lot of our equipment came from the equipment fund, but there were some machines where the equipment fund was out of money, so we bought them from the equipment line of the budget.
And some dollars.
Yeah, so there were some big purchases that came out of this line just because we didn't have money left in the equipment fund. So,
But really, this is also, the 175 is really earmarked for your big, for your irrigation.
right. Yeah, so when we have to replace
Things break.
or whatever. I mean, I don't think we go up. I think we, definitely 50 this year.
Again, those are some of the things that we could have used for, we could have used the equipment replacement fund for it, but we didn't have the money there. But
Yeah.
once we make the adjustment of the $3.
Yeah.
That should cover it.
So that should go down. I
But
mean,
we should have less pressure.
I definitely don't think we go up there. I think if anything, I think where it's at, I don't see any reason, so we would need to use that by equipment going forward. So, anybody have any issues with that? I think that's the line we potentially can say, to come. Other operating expense. Well, I'm finding sale. What's the number? This year, we were budgeting 113. This budget at 137, whatever, even though we're.
So this one is, in terms of budget for the current year, it's miscellaneous and sundry items. And we can look at what that is. There's no actuals for that one. But all the actuals and the majority of the budget are public safety fees.
I'm sorry.
Public safety fees.
And replacement fund.
Yeah.
$100,000.
And actually, those are going down. So,
Why are they going down?
the city's charging us less.
Right.
Let's not argue that one.
I'm good, I'm good.
Do we have any input in this one? Or is this something they're gonna tell them what it is because they don't be?
Yes, the second.
Okay.
So we just don't ask questions and go with it,
Yeah.
okay?
Cost of materials, we were budgeted 318 this year.
This is good.
Yeah. But this has to be. Right.
This is food, is that what it said?
This is
Yeah.
good.
We spent. I don't know, so do they-
286.
with more in November and December, obviously, so 320. With the increase of what we're looking for in revenue from this line, what we were looking at is we have 190,000 rounds. We figure out what our spend per golfer is per round for win. Right now, we're up close just under 4. We set a very realistic goal to get to $5 per person. That also includes banquets and all. Like tomorrow, Thursday, we have 130 people that are going to be eating lunch here. Major deal. Yeah, if we can park. So things like that will factor into this. So $5 is very realistic. You add that up. 190,000 rounds, the $5 price is $950,000. So at 40% food costs, that would be $320,000. Now I don't right now. 250. It'll be $130,000 increase. I don't want to do that just yet because we will have time before, we can look at it in April, May, June and see where we're at and increase if we need to. Hopefully we do, because that means we're spending it, but I do think we need to probably up that right now about
We're at 296, 320, so 70, probably $90,000. Then we can look at it as we go.
Now, 318 includes that 70,000 that we increased.
Yeah, we have like three. Yeah. So. That's one, as long as we're doing things correctly, that's where we want to spend money, every 40 cents spent, I get $1 back, so.
I'm sorry, maybe I'm lost. Where's the offsetting income to that then?
Up in the revenues, the
Yeah.
concession revenues.
It's what we raised it.
We're at,
We raised it 50,000.
I was gonna say, we only raised it 50 and we're saying the cost is going up.
well, we're.
Being
I
conservative.
guess those two numbers don't make
No,
sense to me.
you're right, and I think that's more of the conservative on board.
Remember, we talked, be conservative at the revenue side and.
Yeah, saying that's real.
Yes. That's why at the
I will shine at the end of
at the end of this, my goal is this is worst case scenario. This is where we.
We've already
My
beaten.
head was-
Yeah.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but in this exercise, you're looking for. We don't want to go to council for a budget adjustment. Right. I can be prepared for that.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
City admin charges, we have no control over. We spent 116,000. That's what was budgeted here. Yep. So.
What's that based on?
That's based on the cost allocation plan.
I'm sorry.
That's based on the cost allocation plan. So it's a big document. Basically, it's the general fund charges that you get from finance department, law department, works. So, based on activities on certain items, they charge you like, yeah, the higher consultant.
Whatever you feel like City Hall charges us a little,
Basically, they,
including these two.
It's a,
I'm just wondering what it's based on.
and it's based on, yeah,
so Marcia, the consultant's ratio that determines how much each fund is a ratio of the size or portion of the division.
for like your,
For the whole organization.
What percentage of the pie would?
So, yes, and that's married there. It's measured in a couple different ways, like the ratio of the total budget. Your portion of the budget, total
Sure.
budget.
Okay,
I don't know if that's the case for golf because it's its own fund, or certain financial transactions. So maybe number of credit card swipes. And I think it's one of the metrics they use to do that. And then what's the other one? Yeah, ratio of FTEs. So,
interesting.
yeah.
And we get it, administrative, towards the motor vehicle control.
It's part of that.
Project.
That's part of that.
I mean, if I'm not correct on that, we put in the fleet that we have. It's
Yes.
part of that.
Yeah, you can get.
well,
No,
no,
so lead is contractuals.
right. Your motor pool charges are in the charge.
They're in.
Then the equipment charges.
They are in. Give me a second.
You want to say our charges are pushing 90,000. So.
That's where we get our trucks and some tractors and other. But, and going backwards then, if they pass it as a position for the county, you're gonna have that vehicle, you know, to go around and see what's happening. I'm assuming that you are in open.
That would help.
It's in the 2B. Building equipment charges. Yeah. Right.
Then you guys pay a month for your truck. Right?
20 in the actuals there, did you have 92, 22, Jesse and Killer? On that point. It might be a little bit, okay, so what it was 90 about the 2022 for the total year. Do you have, one, three, four, let's see here. So, 1, 2, 6, 7, 8. It's an 80 for, that's more, yeah.
But you're wanting to know.
That's as of right now, which I not can there, not, without some more research, if that includes, let's say, 11.
We have,
So it's sitting like that.
they smash our hands, so we try to buy one because, you know, they don't get 3 times the amount.
Yeah. I'll say based on what we just saw, anywhere from 8 to 11,000 a month is what.
But I mean, it's about like, what if we added one truck with that?
Yeah. We can, with that, we'd have to get back to you on that. Yeah. Yeah.
We,
I don't see what's the report.
3,000. So there's.
There's the one. That is.
So, again, to me, kind of looking at worst case scenario where everything is very conservative, expensive on the house, so come out 11,000. Now,
So that would be over budget. So that'd be, that year expenditure would be 11,000 over your. You're looking for, you want a negative.
no, we don't. So.
We need to take. What do you think? Increase for concession.
That's what I was gonna say, it still makes sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, I have no problem with covering that out right. I was trying to become extremely safe. People that you know.
Well, you can do.
All we gotta do is increase by 40,000, we could add 100,000.
Yeah.
Thanks for one.
Two copies. All right. So now, okay, so with this, again, worst case, hopefully worst case scenario, we're at 43,000 to do it now. I'm gonna say something optimistic in that I'm to the part of this job that seems like everywhere I go, I've told you guys before, I end up walking into a bad situation and figure out how to make it work. This year was all about getting this in place. Next year, we've got a lot of new stuff, a lot of momentum. I feel very optimistic from a revenue side that we can go away from what we're at here. And that's on me, that's on us, that's on all the things that we're looking to do. I don't want to put the budget in that, put that in the budget. Want to be safe, but I feel extremely confident that we're gonna, unless it rains some crazy, you know, the weather is one thing to kill it. But I have no problem standing here in front of you guys and saying that I expect to do a lot better than what we're showing on this year. So with that being said, it's somewhat irrelevant to what we're doing here. How do you guys feel? What changes?
I think that's very relevant because we have to have a trust factor in you and what you're doing and this project. So I think that's very relevant that you're very comfortable with this.
If I see anything that we need to readdress.
The budget is something we have since we started this, but HR and some at some point again have to figure something out. Wages.
Yeah.
We from a maintenance crew to shop help.
It's got to kill themselves this year. I mean, we didn't have the staff providing service we needed to provide. And these guys, they had no break this year. And it's very frustrating when you're trying to find help
someone comes into the fire and you're like, fine. So one of the parents are getting, and they get the bait and you go to get from it. That happens every time we get someone that we're really excited about making.
And that's a situation that's on in the entire market. You know, we guys are doing. Correct.
Now I've got to get really hard and figure out how we get this going.
And Reggie's like to say that a little back.
Right. And then Joe went through it with.
Right.
Quiet, so one month, so I was talking, we didn't have a talking a lot.
Right.
Frustration, so,
All in that case.
yeah.
Really, what is the, after you found, well,
And
Yeah, I think we did 19. I think it was.
we were at 36 when we got it. Go down 19.
Yeah. We did not think it was, yeah.
so something.
Maintenance, maintenance, hell, what? 5 full-time guys, right now, now, 6 or something,
Right.
So you're looking at 22 FTEs.
22.
It wasn't, it
It
wasn't.
was 21.
Yeah. So, what's up?
Yeah, we've got, we just run that. You've got a division manager, 4 golf professionals, 4 maintenance supervisors, which I believe are your groundskeepers. 1 section supervisor, 3 assistant golf pros, 4 assistant superintendents, 1 account clerk, and 4 greens.
Oh,
That's me.
Yeah.
there's some things.
That's for sure.
Yeah. We're about to be 3.
Yeah.
We don't have one, you don't have one, the one that Mac is getting ready to retire.
I see none of us.
Yeah, that's right. Who am I forgetting?
Set.
Set.
Yeah. No, we have no, but that's a,
I think we addressed the big issue is labor. I think that's
Yeah.
the big thing. I mean, it's hard to maintain a golf course, 185 acre golf course with 2 full-time employees. I don't care how big you are going, growing grass, that's a ball pass.
the most expensive thing on the expense side to me is we have certain things that are out of our control, the city fees and all that stuff. And then we're limited with our budget, so making sure we're spending the money where it needs to be. We've done these projects now, we need to get the golf course. To me, labor and getting the golf course as good as we can get the golf course, that's what Mac's going for.
Do you think increasing by $2 difficult for the phone, everything, let's go?
Right, yeah, that's the other thing. What do we want to do about
They continue.
No, I'm just saying, we took $2 out of the green fee to go toward the equipment replacement. We at least need to go $2 a bit. Minimal, but no.
Maintenance.
Oh,
He's talking about a little bit, so the big one's like, well.
I don't think, I'm gonna be realistic. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get the one pass through the same. That's all. I mean, that alone is gonna be a huge pass. Huge.
Really? Even though they recognize this problem, a lot of departments.
Do it with golf, they do it with every department, you're looking at doing it with golf.
You're looking at the classifications. So it's like a 619 position, like it's like the classification of that. And you have to look at all 619s throughout the city.
Sure.
And then you have to look at if we're going to increasing them, you have to increase everybody else. Then like transit, water, the other funds that aren't also general. So we may be putting some more pressure on some of the that's what they.
They look at us different as an enterprise fund, they want money from us, why can't we operate outside the parameters?
You're asking great questions, but we'll never get it.
We'll never get it. If somebody else, $5.6 million, and we get it.
You're talking about, you're not a person that's not wholeheartedly agree with you, but we're talking to a brick wall with that. I mean, it's frustrating.
I would rather spend the energy trying to figure out how to do what we can control. Green fees.
Step into what you're doing now. What is the going rate for someone in the clubhouse or concessions? Well,
I can tell you that, at least. Yeah, at least.
he's on another course.
I was at that same one.
Okay, so looking at green fees, what do we want to do? And are there other areas you guys think should increase? We're looking at room rentals, we're looking at some of those things that aren't as, we don't see room rentals. Yeah. But
When was the last time we actually had a green fee increase? I don't think it happened since I've been here, and I'm not going on 8 years.
Serious?
Serious. Yeah, so Steve would know for sure.
So what do you think about the inclusion?
I don't think you're gonna get a big pushback.
I don't think so either, because being around all the courses, what I hear from people that come to our courses that haven't been before, you tell them the total price, they're like, is that right? That's like half of what I'm used to paying. So we are dirt cheap.
Yeah, when I look at, in my, some of them, it was all of them.
well, just looking at municipal golf courses, that study that I showed you guys last time, we were $13 less than the average just in the Midwest. So not talking about the big markets, just where we're at. We were $13 less.
We're at 28.
We are at, Auburn during the week is 27, everybody else is 25. On the holidays and weekends, Auburn is 32, everybody else is 27.
So plus 15 card.
Right.
So it's
Under
45.
$50. Yeah. Under $50 for a round of golf, which is cheap.
But more expensive to pull up. Yes, it belongs.
Yeah, what's their green fee?
I said, it's like, so much clearer than that. I can tell you right now.
Where's that?
Don't even start comparing to.
No. I understand. They will tolerance.
Stop writing it, see what happens. Just stop.
This is so.
Stacker.
So.
You have us, Marcia, you don't know him.
Let's really.
So let's just throw this out as the starting point. Randy just said if we do $5, Auburn Hills would be 32 during the week, 37 on the weekend. Everyone else would be 30 during the week, 32 on the weekend. Holiday.
He said, what about making Friday a weekend?
I'd say that's 50-50 across the industry on ones that do that, ones that don't. So I'm fine either way.
I'm sorry, did you get me the numbers again? I have to write them down. I can't make them
If you want the current or the proposed,
current.
Auburn Hills 27 and 32.
Okay.
Everybody else 25, 27.
And without the two back.
We're talking about time. Yeah. So that would be 32, 37, and 30, 32.
Yeah, that's still.
That's cheap.
That's still.
I think that would be.
Those of you that travel a lot.
Yeah, that's cheap.
If you look at that, let's look at the impact of that. We're looking at
Let's do it.
the last 90,000.
Last out of the area public course I played was
$450,000 difference. $450,000.
The
paid 80 for a
That's what we're supposed to. That's the part of this I was forgetting. I was like, oh, I did this earlier. That's, yeah, I forgot to factor in.
It's a 20% increase.
But it hasn't been increased in eons.
Still waiting, right? How many, okay, golf pros in here, how many people come pay a green fee and throw a fit because it's too high?
Zero.
That ever happen? Not members. I know what members.
No, regular greens fee people.
We have a lot of traveling, and we said this was Dallas, Denver,
Kansas, a lot from Kansas City. You can't go to Kansas City and get a weekday green fee at a park for less than $60 a year.
I can tell you across the industry in the last 3 years, rates have probably went up 40%.
2017.
It's been 6 years.
I know the course I was at in Texas, it went from 60 to 89 in the last 2 years. And they are absolutely packed. Couldn't put another person out.
Here's the backstory. During the COVID, on research,
Yes.
Winfield, Oil Ridge. They didn't even have to get city manager approval. I kept raising it 10%. And Quail Ridge and Winfield is higher than we are.
Let's hit on Lakeside Road, you know?
Hidden Lakes is way.
He called Steve the other day. He's bumping again. Right now. I don't know, but
They're already.
Lee talks to Steve all the time. They're already hired and he's bumping it more.
We're 18 minutes over, so let's do this real quick. What do we think about the $5 increase? Again, just again, Auburn Hills would be 32 during the week, 37 weekend. Everywhere else would be 30 weeks, 30. 32 weekend, effective when? First of the year, I would say March 15th. Easy. You know, I've never liked raising rates when there's no grass on the golf course, everything's in. Yeah.
That's my biggest concern. Look at for some people saying, and more for what? I just equate for market and how. I mean, I do. You do a great job.
There's not a ton of green feeds January, February. So I'd like to see some grass growing and see some change. So
Yeah, they even increase the membership because some people will be like, well, I better get my membership.
That's what I was just.
Which is fine.
Yeah, no, I think here's the wrinkle. And I think you'll have a better luck if you have sports. But, recreation just went to counter, has been working with the manager on raising rental rates for like the shelters and for like open gym time and that kind of thing. They wanted to do a 20% increase and stopped them and made them do a 10%.
Let's ask for double.
how do we?
So, and then we're offsetting that by now doing like an out of county, like an out of city.
But rates, hold on, rates,
That's
is different.
rentals.
When we did membership increase, the board had the authority to control rates. The
Okay.
board had that authority.
Okay,
We didn't have to go to council.
okay.
I think that's one thing is the problem.
Yeah. So, okay, you guys. Yeah. So,
I'll have a council, don't worry about it.
so there's people
Oh,
already-
boy.
Horses jump.
No, we don't have, I'm 99% sure you guys do have control rates.
I'm pretty sure I was.
Exactly. It's Thursday for 2888. Don't ask me how to get to that figure.
Plus tax. Ours includes tax, so you gotta, every other course is plus tax, ours is included, so.
20,
Is that with the card? It's a little more because they're in Derby proper, so it's 8.5% tax.
I just figured they said 2888. No, it's probably doesn't include.
No, it's not. Plus tax, so they're about the same. They're actually more.
18 months probably was what I should have.
I know we,
So it's probably
we obviously want to be comparable in the market, but I think if we do the market, there's going to be some that are close to us and a lot that are way above us. So I think $5 increase is still going to put us on what we should do in the market.
Yeah, in fact, in that fourth portion, I think that's it. I think it was as well. And it was pretty because.
I got on pay.
Well,
It would have been $100.
Cheapest, easiest access. That's the next thing. That's what it cost average. There's the best case.
That's what I tried once anywhere because 70 and 100 actually everywhere.
Yeah.
That's $200 per day.
All right. So what do we think?
So you need us to make a motion and.
Yep. If everybody's good, or that's up to you guys now.
Want to talk about it more or?
And then I'll tell you what, I'd like to talk about range balls too. So maybe we make one motion to do both. So
Before we make that motion. Yeah.
So. Yeah, I took a look at the city's last issuance for a geo and revenue bond because I'm not exactly sure if the golf fund, making it potentially the CIP down the road would be a geo.
We got GOs for the last 30 years.
Yeah. So the last city, issuance, they were less than 5%, for the last series that I could find. And I will double check that, when I get to the office tomorrow and email Jesse and relay that to you guys if I'm incorrect, but the one, I think there were 10.
Okay. Rainbow, yeah.
This large bucket, $7, you said?
7 and 4, 7 and 4. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to go crazy on that, but just a little bit would make a pretty big difference. So I would say at least 5 and 8. And I think that's minimal. Yes. Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Let's say 5. That's 6 for a small, I think.
Yeah, there are small, very small. I think 5 and
We just have 2 sizes, right?
correct.
For what it's worth, little bit has 3, and it's 1, small.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Easy, they are large, it's most extra large.
Typical, it's 35.71. Yeah. Our large is about 70. And it's got large bucket sets. Yeah.
5 to 7.
So, what'd you say? The price? I'm sorry. It was 3 times.
Wilbur's at 4, 8, and 12.
So 8 is their. That's our large. That's our $7 bucket. They're saying.
How many balls are in the 12?
Typical size is 35, 70. We need about 70. This thing is up to about the size basket. I don't know. We're out. If we go $1, if we went 5 and 8.
5 and 8.
5 and 8. You know, still like if you see this, no, that's all right. I mean, you could take the 2.
The thing you need to keep in mind is this year we reordered more golf balls in 2023 for the second time. We went through that much. So that, and now it's the range ball. The baskets. It sounds stupid, but we were stealing baskets and range balls. We went through, I mean, what used to last us a year and a half, we went through 9 months.
We bought twice this year. I think that dollar increase would give us a bump of around 60 to 80,000. So covered the balls. That's okay.
That just covered the golf balls we did this year.
Right. I think we, 2 on each. I really do. We had people waiting all this year, waiting for a spot on the range. And like, and we're offering new golf balls, which we didn't have this year. We had, pretty poor range balls until recently, and now we have brand new range balls. Big difference.
What if we did 5 and 8.5? Most people are credit cards. And seriously.
Yeah.
Sound what?
5 and 9. You see an extra revenue to do some improvements to the range.
For some reason in my head, I see a lot of pushback with 9. I don't really pay credit now. And I think it's 21.
And then they,
Like $9. It's gonna be it. I mean, you guys don't deal with much cash anyway. Like,
If you do that, you have to adjust your, you see you passed. We got a range pass.
yeah, we do. We do. I don't know. What you guys think?
Range pass is so expensive, but there's nothing to do with that much on the list. 325, that's kind of not.
Yeah, we agree.
Nobody uses all the balls.
I mean, no.
It's 2 buckets
The
a
one
day.
thing that would need to be adjusted is the buy
A day.
for the price of 10.
Is that?
We have 12, if you buy 12 for the price of 10, so you get 12 baskets for $70. That would need to be adjusted.
No.
But if they've already bought them, it's not gonna do, no, it's not gonna hurt the bottom line because they've already paid for it this season.
Yeah, we're not gonna go back, everybody, but, so just looking at somebody walking up to the bridge, let's focus on that, walking up to the bridge, saying, give me a large bucket, what do you think? We're 4 and 7 right now. I think $20 max for the small, because that is a small, 35. I think up to 45. On the bigger one, we're at 7. I don't think I'll make it up now. The other one, we're all in favor of it. I think we have to add on to the drop to make it. I think if you just go $1 on each, at least cover the trash falls every year. This year, we didn't make that much money. And it sounds dumb going to 850, but that's potentially 25,000. We can do more large. It's not going to go to 850. But maybe not in the, I'm over here, I don't know what I'm thinking.
I love mine. Because even when, what's told or whatever they can have for that, I was charging 5 years ago, weren't they? For a lottery. Yes.
It's $45 a bucket at top.
I mean, your lunch at a fast food place is $11 now, it seems like.
11, what do you, that's cheap.
What do you? That's what-
I think a $2 increase on the large is too much. I'm okay with say 50 just because, but again, it's not 1% increase. It just sounds better.
I don't know why I think it's going to be wrong. I would agree.
Protecting the people here a little bit.
You start with 9 and back. You can shop the price.
The only thing backing up is it looks like if they spend a lot enough to do it. That's the English precedent. So
I think just people out there and seeing how busy the ranges are, I think 9 gets a lot of backlash. Because it's still going to be.
they're not money they're doing. We're not wrong.
Probably true.
Seeing people like the correspondent.
That's probably true. I mean, we talked about $50,000.
It's bad for a big bucket. I prefer to pay, but if we're afraid of the number, you do 850, 75 to keep it under.
But right in Clinton, you can't buy bumpers.
Again, I don't. Yesterday, a while, I don't know, the fact ourselves and just 7 like a 3.
Well, if you look at 5 and 5, it's always 1995.
Yeah.
59, it's never, that's some number that's in middle.
And no, it's like back in 1.
I remember on all of our stuff, $7 right now minus tax. So we're actually only getting $6.40 for that bucket of balls. State gets the rest. So these other places are doing plus tax and all the other courses. We're eating tax. But we're not at $7. We're at $6.40.
So let's go with 5 and 8 there.
Your motion to make.
I'm fine with either one. I don't think that's a big deal, but 850 is fine too. I don't think.
Golf pros. I guess here's the other thing. I think a lot of our members that we just hit, they firing whatever. So that is another impact to the members. If it was just crazy players, $9 wouldn't be a problem. So we just raise cards, we just raise that, and you would raise, pay for it.
No, but I'm happy with it. Not a big deal.
What is all the better return for the Vegas and Vegas and
I mean, I wouldn't even mind it. If there's a way to do it, make it simple. Just get it all around.
With you on that.
What do you think about that?
So Hidden Lakes is 950 large bucket and small bucket is 635.
And like
You
you
say,
said,
950 for a large bucket, small bucket 635. Range card is 83, 85 million. I don't know if they, that's also it's like 10 bucket.
what's that?
Hidden Lakes.
that next, we do 9.
That it doesn't say. It just says
Nothing in Hidden Lakes is taxed.
Mid July, they have weird billing that
comes out.
It's just it's a button. That might be a problem with our range code machine. I don't think the machine can do that. What? So it's machine.
You're selling the trophies.
He was talking about technology for members.
Yeah, but I don't think we can do.
You're bringing in the 70s of a total.
It's too often, so. Yeah, but like, I think only has two options for how much to charge them. One is one or a larger is small.
It can't be one member, one non-member. It's each member anyway, so.
Where you could actually have a number this.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking. Since we feel like we've nickel and dimed our members to death, we were wondering if we could give them a discount on range balls. Yeah. Blink, blink, yeah.
I'll put a motion on.
Then you lock your inputs in with that.
Yeah, so. $5 and $8.50 for rainfall, and let's go up to the mountain. Yes, yeah, here's what that said, it was not $5, so later increases to. Yes, $5 increase.
And the 250 increase for now. Let's see, it's going to be. Oh, let's. So. Okay, the 9 holes are more than half. So 9 holes is only do 5. 9 holes is $10 less than 8.
So 9 holes is $15?
Yeah. 15, 16. We get one. 17, 21, started with 16.
Thank you.
Thank you. You did very helpful.
Give mine where you're going. Let's make you guys.
So if we do a 20% increase on 9 balls, it's $3, correct?
How much are you doing?
Yeah.
Not very good.
About 60% of whatever you're 18 on.
So
$3 increase on the 18 balls. If you do a 20% increase on 9 balls, it's $3.
Yeah, March.
Oh.
All right, so $3 on
Fine, we can
it.
see what's right.
Yeah. So if we did a $5 increase on 18, $3 on 9 hole. That would put 9 hole rates would go from 15 to 18, become 16 to 19. Huh? Yeah, yours would be 2050 and 2350. Up from 1750 and 20. So it'd be the same percentage, $5 on 18, $3 on. Good.
Excellent.
Motion of the
Make a motion to increase the green fee, $5 for 18, $3 for knocking. Raise balls, let's go, $5 to $8.50. A second motion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, nay. So, nay. So we do nay.
Do we need to throw this into the budget so we see what it does to that? Because if we're gonna do some adjusting, we need.
Now to get back to March 15th, we can come up with a number.
We've got so many issuances for different types of projects that range in their term years and their rates that I'm gonna have to follow our debt manager to give you. Probably not, probably sharing, so no, I don't want to give you the more information.
Do we know what percentage of our rounds is rubber rounds?
Yeah, we just started, some of the rounds. It's roughly half.
Is it? So
About
we do
95,000
95.
regular rounds and 95,000. Rounds. Close to.
So can't we do 95,000 times 5?
While they're continuing that as a board, we threw that number out and passed that initiation time. What's the date?
Here in March 2020. It's not awesome.
That's a friendly amendment.
So that would put us, back. So the way I'm figuring that out, this is very simple, kind of best guess, but that'd be about $300,000, actually $370,000, but be $170,000. So increase of $70,000 overhead. For green fees and year 75, that would be an increase about 15,000 already, so I'm doing 60,000.
Okay, wait.
Okay.
You went from a $70,000 loss on the green fees or negative change on the green to a $300,000 increase. So it's a $370,000 in. We already did that.
The grounding, we had a $15,000 increase. I expect that to be smart on a $60,000 increase, so total $75,000. Yeah, that puts us almost happening with the. One thing we have to remember though, last year, for most of, up until August, we were getting $450 that's going into this. Well, we took the we took the $3. We took it from $1 to $3. So really, I realized the $5 increase, we're almost getting that for the $3 increase. Those two of that keep going into that, it's going into that. Now compared to last year, we didn't start that until August. So we got 8 months of a $4 or $5 increase. So and we're still getting the money. It's just not going to show up as incredible.
So it's a negative of 270,000 based on 90,000. At $3.
You're raising at 5, 2 go away, so based on $90,000 at $3, it's a net gain, an increase of 207.
Right.
It's all still in the same fund, really.
Right. And one thing we're not factoring, well, we haven't talked about, we still have 500,000 we're not transferring into that bucket. And that's still goes to 1,314,000. So we're starting the year with, if this goes through, on what it's going to have, $1 for the grounds for the product, for the equipment. Do
you have a plan for the new software system? Do you have a bid yet?
No, so the spring premiere issue is it's they well, we get ready to put it out, found out we may be going away from the command. So I need to know what we're gonna have, getting know how to move forward, because what if I put something and we go to think another part of the system? It's kind of going to go there. Now we don't build anything to the current system, which did open the door for like some options that we currently can't use with the system, and that's what I'm looking at now. With the RFP, we did working with these guys on the people on IT or anything. I will need to move forward with basically landing something to the time to have the ability to that in whatever the process we do for the current. But it's no, nothing's went out yet because didn't have an control. What's up?
Thanks. Thank you.
Second combination. On our driving range and all our tee boxes, we need to put sand and seed, so that when people leave a room on the course, they can tell. I was planning again today, there's a lot of, divots out there, then it'd be great if we could have sand and seed to throw in there.
The winter time is always going to be tough. That is extended. It's not. The winter time is what part of the reason.
Beautiful grass on the tee box except for all the food already.
Yeah, and that's good and bad too. It's kind of, you want to move it, but you also want to keep, you want to wear out the spot. You have to, whatever grass you have, you got to keep that basically from October to 3 months.
So what's wrong with putting sand and seed out?
Nothing, it's not in the early. The grass is dormant, it's not. So the divots that are there right now, are not good. What's that?
Doing pretty good, actually. Here, so I couldn't stop throwing the So maybe January. Yeah. No, no, that's good.
Now, if we overspeed, we, yeah.
But I mean, even all summer long, but yeah, there's something putting sand and seed out. Yeah, yeah, there is, but you know, there's, yeah. And we have beautiful grass, or this black, folks, is clean enough and they'll have to fix. Well, tell you about on practice and we practice for both. Practically even worse because they aim to point or depending on, hit on it.
I would love to put sand on it, on the part, and people could use them if they smell them. They're dominant. I mean, it's so crazy.
Crazy, what is it?
I cannot believe these wagons.
Yeah.
I'm blown away. I mean, we bring them to the night, but even that, we don't know, it's feel like everything we try to put out, it's going to.
The Sims, they leave, the Sim has family there.
They have about the on boxes.
They leave.
What else we use? Honestly, it's
But that's not even the white bucket.
it says like, it says like on the side. So, yeah, $5 bucket, it says Lowe's, because it looks awful, but you don't get the one.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah, I know, but yeah,
stand out there.
yeah, on the part threes, you have them on every part three.
But in the driving range, like that age, the grass in the driving range, you can't even hit off the grass anymore. It doesn't go.
Really, in the winter time, we do also the in summer, we never would do. That's the stuff we do next week. We have.
Well, the 28 weeks complain about that. It doesn't go.
You're right.
The only thing you can use because the grass is gone.
Every golf course is down.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the winter, I'm talking about all summer it was that way. Then even off the grass all summer because soon as they open the grass up, the grass is gone.
I'm not saying, please don't take this as excuse. You're absolutely right. I agree. I'm sure that the other part of that, it's talking about the speaker waiting time for pay. It's been heard. I mean, you can put all the seeds and stuff in one, still need pay straight from that. So, I mean, the amount of people that will get out more, it's crazy. Great, but it's every good thing comes to it. Yeah. Good. Again, that's not a big say. Anybody get an excuse for saying you're probably the worst because the depth of that driving range. Where like in Tech, he's got 100 yards to play with. They don't have that in the double. He's got 10 yards.
Max, all field season,
Either way.
all field season.
Right now, yeah, they're on. No. So now. It's only about. I don't understand. It's just more.
This time of year, you're looking at turkey and that whether it's cool season or warm season. So is probably.
Yeah.
Cool season.
Yeah.
Still.
But yes, we definitely need to work. I like the wagon deal made a huge difference here.
Yeah.
So we need to add that to the tech for sure. Yeah. I'll definitely look at getting something in place for the spring for sure. Anything else?
Junior age, did you drop them? What do you do?
Junior rate. No.
You take it off at one time.
Take it off at one time.
Yeah, I'm used to that. Junior.
Oh, the membership, the junior membership. We're leaving that. There's some people that say, I don't want to deal with that every time I come out. Let's pay that. So there's nothing. But the number of kids that are using that golf marathon that we get paid for is going up this year, which is great to me. I think that's awesome. This is July today. Yeah. So,
Hey, on that. People, any kind of restrictions on that, you're on a junior paying $7, take the 7 2 times. Because we have one here.
well, we got members that take a $0 tee time, and we get paid $7 for each one of those.
I just asked.
No, I know. I didn't mean that smart. I'm just looking at all the variables. It would take a while to change though, because it's advertised quite a bit. So it's been that way forever. So we could look at Saturday and Sunday until 1 o'clock
restrict
That
that?
would get us. I mean, if you're playing with a parent, that's one thing, but I mean, I have groups of 5, 7 groups that can take a spot where themselves for now, $52.
Mhm.
Because they can't take the car, it's going to be expensive.
Oh.
I mean, that's
Well,
what's going on with first team.
Yeah. What, real quick, not a motion or anything, just quick discussion, I know we're way after. For the junior program right now, they come out, they scan, they don't pay, they can pay any playing time for free, and then we build golf marathon, $7 a kid. What are your thoughts on weekend play? Or any type of restriction, what are your thoughts on that? I know a private or a privately owned public course would say restrictions. We are a little bit different, a little bit different in municipality, I feel like, in certain ways, so. With that being considered, we could do something like, it's on the weekends, it's not good until after 1 o'clock is kind of the typical standard during the summer. We also have leagues that play at courses on the weekends that have, make a big thing of green tee times, so that's gonna get thrown back. The leagues and the standing tee times, I'm starting to get way more and more. Not just the leagues on the weekend, staying honest with you, I'm getting more and more emails and calls about that. And the small groups that have standing tee times all the time. It's so hard to book a tee time right now because at 5 a.m. they're gone immediately. And we have groups of 10 or 8 even that have standing tee times. Not the league. Why are they getting to get their tee time set for the whole year? There's no way to answer that. I have no explanation for that other than they've done it for 20 years. Not fair. In the weeks on the weekend is a major complaint. I'm starting to get more and more. I'm going off track. Juniors, what do you guys think?
It's the last time that anything's been negotiated with marathon that it sounds like. How long has it been that way? Those of you that's been saying on since they started, I don't think that it's started 40 years.
The program itself, I think is great. I've actually talked to someone at Golf Channel about trying to do a story on that program. I don't know if there's one other program I can find in the country that's like that, and it's in Chicago, and it's ran a little bit different. But I think that is an awesome program, and it needs to be followed. But as far as our operation, we restrict.
You're saying, you're suggesting maybe first they can not play on weekend,
Just later.
later on weekend.
And it's not just that it's only $7, it's they obviously have part in there, not fun. We can play most of the time.
Yeah.
Whether they would compare. Whether they would compare. Still, there could be mostly charged and maybe coming home.
Is this Mr. the junior gets a tea time or what?
He's talking about them coming during our peak weekend times in the morning. He got a group of juniors out playing that didn't. They
That's
had,
big, you're the juniors.
what's that?
I brought my son out when he was 14 years old, you wouldn't let him play with me. Yeah, if you're playing with it, that's one thing. We've seen, groups of 4 or 5 kids, anywhere from 10 to 12, 13, 14 years old, taking the tea time. I thought there was something, used to be something.
So you're sending 4 10-year-olds out on Saturday morning?
10-year-old, but the juniors that they can't rent a car.
Right.
But yeah, we've seen juniors being. Go here, I'm making, tea time at 10 o'clock. Saturday, Sunday.
For the second time, why don't we think about that for the next meeting? We have a meeting scheduled, and I'm not avoiding your question. Let's think about that for a minute and talk through it. I'll make sure that's on the agenda for the next meeting. We have a meeting scheduled on the 19th, I believe. That's the Tuesday, kind of Christmas weekend. You guys want to, since we met now, do you want to cancel that, get back on track on January with regular meetings, or do you want to have that meeting?
I'd say January sense.
I don't know what really we're going to talk about between now and then. So,
Yeah, let's try some pressing, somebody.
okay.
And so we did, January, second week, you are ready to make it.
Next month, we talk with the December next week meeting. We think it's going to go.
All right, there goes support Christopher. What is the status on that thing, golf cart coverage?
Did you not get the email?
No.
I sent an email out. Every course is taking 10. So the big problem, I talked to you on, the big problem, the personal golf cart covers scratch the windshield. That's the main problem. They scratch the windshield that we have on the cart. So what we've done, every course is taking 10 windshields off. If a customer, I sent an email out to everybody asking them if you have your personal cover, let us know that you have one. We're going to give you a cart without a windshield. You put your cover on your phone.
I got text on it this day.
Oh, I got that one. Yeah.
Yeah, text was very system. Eager next year.
So, yeah, so I sent that out to everybody else. They saw it. I've only got 30 emails back, saying things. This is very, I think that's pretty fair solution on effect of it. Keep going.
Well, one more other business thing I have mentioned has meeting with some council coaches, which is where the bond issues come up. Let's just say as of right now, CIP money that we don't have to pay back, which pretty thin ice until we can sway some council people to change the mind of the city manager. So you get CIP money for general revenue, you're gonna have to look at your green piece of paper. And I'm not sure. My perspective, how much longer it seems to hold up. And you're looking at a month after 2 million.
Why don't you tell us who you met with? Why don't you tell us who you met with?
The last three, I met with was a new council member, Mr. Johnson from 5 district. Last talk in the 4th district and this title from the 2nd district. I met with all of them. And Nick was so settled, this was not going to be swayed. It's only another. So the personal opinion, but it shouldn't happen. So she probably would have made the vote for them. Obviously, Mr. Gaston got 2 golf courses and made 50 with this one.
And he's a golfer, right?
That's what it's to play a little bit. And Mr. Johnson doesn't have golf.
Oh, okay.
He plays out here and several other places. So we'll keep working at it. And again, I go back to the question about the bond stuff. We have to pay for that. We have $100. How much would we be putting $1,000 a valve? Something to think about it, the board. And Marsh and I have been, like I say, tried to meet this total several times and have difficulty there. So we'll keep trying. You know, that excluding real stuff, you never know. Other than that, I would entertain a motion.
Out of here.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
One last thing you look at.
Darius, but you give me a favor. As you transcribe these minutes, send me a copy. So I get some. Okay, now.